Start my video. Officially welcome, Corin, to the Zoom room. First time,
Thank
but
you.
hopefully one of many. This is where it all happens. So just so you know, we are being recorded, and it's streaming live on YouTube, so others can share this. So what I'm going to do is just share my screen with you and take you through a presentation of sorts. Because it's pretty small, it's just the two of us for now. Just feel free to interact if you've got any questions, comments, then just share it. Rather make it interactive than a monologue.
Okay.
So let me share my screen. Okay, can you see that okay?
Yes, I can.
All right, good. Let's put it into slideshow mode. All right, so welcome. Virtually, this is all about how to let go and find your flow in summary. I'm Jonathan, so I'll talk a bit more about myself as we go through it. The full title of the presentation is How to Master the Art of Letting Go of Any Stressful Thought or Emotion in Minutes and Find Authentic Happiness, Fulfilling Flow, Higher Purpose, Ecstatic Well-Being, and True Success to thrive through adversity in these turbulent times by tapping into the transformative power of 7 ancient spiritual techniques. So it's quite a it's quite a lot in that, but I'm going to unpack it for you. Um, so a little bit of the structure up front. First of all, I'm just going to guide you through a simple breathing similar. It's just a simple breath watching exercise, which is a big part of mindfulness. So you may well have done something like it before, but it's just to kind of get us into the right space to receive this information. So if you want to just set everything else aside, you can put your notes aside.
Okay.
Just sitting comfortably. You're sitting in a
Mm-hmm.
chair, sitting comfortably, each shoulder width apart, your back straight. Put your hands in your lap and close your eyes. And start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. So breathing in, noticing how stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. The maximal inhale breath. And you pause at the top of the inhale for a few moments. And so just scan your mind now and notice any thoughts, any emotions, related body sensations going on. Often the body sensations can be quite difficult. So notice, particularly in your stomach, chest, anything like that. Breathe into it again, another deep breath in. And feel like you're breathing into that area, wherever the tension lies in your body. You're breathing in. If you visualize well, you could visualize some light flowing in there, but if that's difficult, just a feeling. It's a feeling of lightness coming with the breath into that area. And on the exhale, you just make a choice to really let this go, whatever it is that you're holding on to. Thought, emotion, the energy of it, and just blow it out. So exhale out of your mouth and have a sense of just releasing that stuff, whatever that sticky negativity is. It could be anxiety, fear, resentment, anger, frustration, and so on. Imagine it's like a dark cloud just leaving you a black smoke that you're exhaling out. Blowing it out. and finding some relaxation. Peace comes when we let go. So just allow yourself to experience that peace, and then you're going to breathe in again. Nice deep full inhale, breath. So imagine now, if you can, that you're breathing light in, flowing into every pore and every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being, and being infused with this lovely light energy. Which dissipates all the darkness. So if there's still any sticky negative thoughts, emotions, related body sensations, notice them. Breathe into them again. Breathing in the light. Face of the light, no darkness can continue, it dissipates. So exhale and blow it out. And again, just relaxing at the bottom of the exhale. Time you let go, you feel more relaxed, calmer, more peaceful. In the gap between breaths, you notice that it's just this very quiet, calm state. So breathing in again now. Feel like now you're raising energy up the spine. So you can just kind of squeeze sphincter muscle. That's the muscle used to contract the flow of urine, or squeeze the last drops out. If you can do that. It's also what you use for Kegel exercises, I think. Just squeeze and feel this energy flowing up the spine, rising up into your heart center, and on up into the crown of your head. So you can feel some heat and visualize light, if that helps. Just stay here for a few moments as you hold the breath. Your mind, just an awareness that's sitting there. That awareness, everything is fine, calm, peaceful. It's like the blue sky. So you can bring that analogy to mind. It's absolutely pristine, clear blue sky, and the light, which is your source, shining through it. And the clouds, which are your negative thoughts, are way below. This is you long past those, you transcended those. So you exhale and just exhale out, and have a sense of just blowing those clouds away. They're just dissipating and going, gone with this breeze of your breath. And you just rest in this clear blue sky, in this peaceful awareness. for a few moments. And I'm just going to breathe in and out through your nose in your own time now. So just very natural breathing, breathing in and breathing out through your nose. And just finding that you're getting more and more relaxed with each breath. Just sinking into that clear blue sky. Just merging with it. There isn't a separate self, there's just clear blue sky, and you are it, and it is you. Just feeling yourself merging into that. And you go deeper and deeper into that beautiful clear blue sky with each breath. So just observe the breath. That's all you have to do. Just observe the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils and out of the nostrils. That's all you have to do. Just breathing in, breathing out. There's nowhere else to go, there's nothing else to do. Nothing else to think about. You just breathe, relax, and be still. For a minute or two of silence. And you just watch your breath quietly. You go deeper with each breath to the still, calm, quiet state. If any thoughts come in to just disturb this peace, what you do is refocus your attention on the breath. So you're just going to notice how the breath flows in through your nostrils, focus on the sensations in the nostrils, and just on the area just below your nostrils, between the tip of your nose and your upper lip. Very subtle, and you just focus your attention there, and it brings your mind back to the present, away from any of those thoughts. So just try doing that. Bring your attention back to the breath whenever it wanders away. Another minute or two. Peaceful silence. Yeah, so just gently awareness back into the body. Maybe tension slipped away for a while. The body, you just drifted off. You come back. On the count of three, you're going to open your eyes. So one, just refocusing on the breath. Notice how the breath flows in. Stomach rises, chest rises. Pause at the top of the inhale. Scan your mind. Notice any thoughts, any emotions, related body sensations. And again, you're just going to let them go. The breath, you exhale out your mouth. Just blow them away. Again, imagine they're like dark clouds or black smoke. It's leaving you, going, gone to the nothingness that they really are. Down to two, just notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. Noticing what you're feeling and touching. Subtle taste in your mouth, smell in your nose. And notice what you're hearing in the surrounding environment. But without judgment, there's no need to name or label or judge anything that you perceive. You just allow it to be. It's very peaceful. Things arise and they just pass away. And notice that your underlying awareness, this blue sky, is the same. It really doesn't change, irrespective of your sense perceptions. So now we're going to try this with your visual sense. So on the count of three, open your eyes. Just take a minute to look around, just kind of center yourself back into the room, noticing what's around you. And in this very non-judgmental way, notice your breath. So try and keep this nice, steady, rhythmical breathing through your nose going. And look at any object for a few seconds. Notice that you're still very peaceful. It doesn't matter what you're perceiving, the underlying peace is still there. And close your eyes briefly. Notice that peace is there when you close your eyes, but it's still there when you open your eyes, and it's there when you look at another object. It's the same underlying state of mind. Do that for half a dozen objects. Just look at any object in the room randomly for a few seconds. You can close your eyes if you want, or open your eyes, and notice that actually your inner state, which is peaceful, hasn't changed at all, irrespective of what you're looking at. So you're training your mind to learn that this underlying awareness is always there and it never changes, irrespective of your sense perceptions. That's a very powerful lesson, which is what this kind of breathing exercise and mindfulness exercise is really designed to do. Okay, and then just try and, as we go through the presentation, just keep some attention on your breathing and just breathing in and out through your nose. And that'll keep you in a nice, relaxed, open, and receptive state. So, how was that? You with me,
That was
Cara?
awesome. That
Hmm.
was great.
Hmm. So compare now. It's always useful after a meditation like that to go, how did I feel before and how do I feel afterwards? And then you see the contrast in your state, and that shows you that the process has been effective, and you start to notice the difference in your states of mind, because it's that kind of awareness that is needed if you're going to progress on the spiritual path. So okay, so I know the difference between what feels relaxed and peaceful as opposed to what feels anxious and quite uptight and so on. If you can discern the difference, then it's quite easy to choose and to shift as well from the one to the other, which is what transformation is all about. Okay, so that's first part done. Then we'll go into, I'm going to share one, is it really just one secret skill that you need to master to enable your life to work miraculously. There's many teachings out there, and you've probably been exposed to them. And there's 7 steps to this and 10 steps to this, and there's actually just one thing that you need to master, and I'm going to tell you exactly what that is. It won't be a secret anymore. Um, there's some seriously life-changing benefits if you can master this skill. So we'll talk about those. We'll talk about some techniques because it's the how-to, all right? So there's this one great skill. How do I learn that? Well, techniques are on the way. 7 stress busting techniques to help you master that one essential skill. And then how you can integrate this. How can you integrate practicing these techniques into your daily life to experience these life-changing benefits consistently? So it's not just the theory, it's the application that's essential. And then there'll be time for questions. As I said, if you want to ask anything as we go along, please do. And then optional, we can do a 10-step letting go process and meditation. If you some people joining us in about an hour, one or two of my members, so that'll be nice. You can chat to them. They've been in this program for 1 or 2 years, depending on who joins, and you can have a chat to them about their experience. So yeah, I'll guide you through this process at the end. Also give you a written worksheet for the process, a 1-hour recording to guide you through it in a meditation and explain it. And well, I guess you're the only one here. So I'm going to give you a gift. I'll give you half an hour online breath coaching session with me free because you're the only one who's here. My marketing this year hasn't been great. I have to say, I've just been with other things.
Yeah.
So so you're the winner if you stay until the end. Okay, so that's a deal. We'll seal it at the end. So let me ask you a question, Karen. You don't have to answer it, but just think about it. Why are you here today? And it's because you're looking for something, isn't it? You wouldn't be here if you weren't seeking. You did a Google search on, the art of letting go. And so that brought you here. So it's, well, how do I find one or more of these things? Relief, from stress, anxiety, depression, disease, which may manifest as physical disease, but there's a disease in the mind first. So that's a very common one. I just want some peace of mind. Better health, maybe you've got some health challenges. More wealth, that's a common one. A better relationships, you mentioned, that in your case, and a better quality of life and lifestyle. Maybe it's a combination of all of them, but these are the common things that make people start searching. They're wanting something more out of life. So let me ask you another question. Ultimately, what are you really looking for? In a nutshell, in one
In a
word.
nutshell,
Yeah.
a peaceful existence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Happiness. Yep.
Happiness.
Yep.
You call it
Exactly.
happiness.
Yep.
There's other names for it. Peace, happiness, inner peace.
Yep.
Yeah. Essentially, that's actually what everyone wants.
Yep.
We just sort of think that a lot of these other things are key to that. But essentially, what we want is this feeling of happiness. Everything's actually just okay. I may not be ecstatically, over the moon and overjoyed all the time, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm basically at peace. And I think that's what so many people yearn for. And in modern society, very few people seem to have. It's like I'm okay as I am, and I'm happy in myself, and I'm not too fazed by anything. I don't get too, overly stressed. This is what we could call happiness. So another question: why haven't you found it yet? And I'll answer it for you. I'll answer that question.
Good.
It's just because you've been looking in the wrong place. So you've been conditioned to think that you'll be happy when you have better or more of something else. That's the world's conditioning. So we're bombarded with these kinds of images of young, healthy, fit, sexy bodies, and like you've got to live up to that. So that's a common one that people think, well, when I look like that, then I'll be happy. But of course, what happens is we age.
Mhm.
Everyone ultimately ages, the body fades. So you can't rely on that for any kind of sustainable source of happiness. That should be self-evident from the aging process. A lot of people want material wealth, fancy cars, this kind of thing. Again, we're bombarded with images, lifestyle. You get the car. What these manufacturers do very cleverly is they attach an emotion, a state of mind to their product. And they go, giving an example, BMW, sheer driving pleasure. Right. So you'll get pleasure when you drive our car. That's, and that's how they sell. But of course, temporary, short-lived. We all know we buy a car, the new car, if it's really nice, maybe for a month, we go, wow, a new car, and then it just becomes normal. And actually, it's just means to get us from A to B. Obviously, the mechanical devices, they break down. So is it a sustainable source of happiness? It should be self-evident that it's not. Maybe it's a fancy house. People go, wow, I just love to live in a house like that. Then I'd be, just so happy. But if you look at, celebrity magazines and so on, a lot of very rich, wealthy people who live in these kinds of houses are definitely not happy. Lives, in fact, quite the opposite. So that's clearly not the source of it. Houses can burn down as well. So in fact, my sister's partner's family home got exactly burnt down about 2 years ago. It was an
Oh my
arsonist.
gosh.
Exactly, that happened. So
Yeah.
this kind of thing, you can't rely on anything material for your source
Yeah.
of happiness. That's the understanding. Holidays, some people live for the next holiday. Oh, well, I'll just be happy when I can go on my next cruise or my next beach holiday or whatever. But of course, and as we know with COVID, that all
Yeah.
just closed. No one could go anywhere. So for 2, 3 years, no, those people were seriously unhappy. And of course, the holiday just comes and goes, and then you go back to work, and it's post-holiday blues. So maybe it's nice experiences, fine dining, special relationship. This is what people yearn for. But we know what happens when it turns sour. It's not nice. So was it a sustainable source of happiness? No, if you're honest about
Yeah.
it. Even personal growth books. I don't know if you've read any of these kinds of books. I've actually read some of these
Hmm.
in here. You can read and you can read these books, and in the end, it comes down to application. I'm not saying they're not helpful. I've read many of them. They are, but in the end, you have to apply them into your life, and I think that's where what most people don't do. They
Yeah.
read a book. In fact, Tony Robbins did a survey, and his survey indicated that 90% of people read the first chapter or two of these books, and then they don't read them further. So they don't even read the whole book. Never mind actually apply the whole book.
Yeah.
Because you've actually applied what they say. But the problem is it's often very theoretical. You read the book and it's like, okay, well, great, some good ideas, but then life happens and you don't have any kind of structure to apply it. And I don't know if you've had that experience, but that seems to be a very common experience. So the books aren't really the answer, and again, you can just get lost in that. You can just read and read and read, and it's all intellectual knowledge. In the end, actually, what you want is to be happy.
Mm.
That's the whole point of reading the books. There's the guy I mentioned, Tony Robbins. Who I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he's probably the world's best known motivational speaker. I've actually been to one of these. I went to one in London, 4,000
Mm.
people. It was a very interesting experience because it was like a rock concert. I don't know if have you ever been to anything like this?
I've never been to an event like this. I've been to a rock concert,
Yeah.
but nothing like this.
Yeah, yeah, no.
Yeah.
So, but it was similar because
Yeah.
he's on stage and he's he's getting these people really excited. You can see they're all
Yeah.
like doing the moves and high energy, and then he takes them up and he takes them down. And I was like, okay, I was just observing. But
Yeah.
clearly that's not going to last. Once the
Yeah.
hype is over and they go back to their jobs on the Monday morning, they might have some residual inspiration, but they're not going to have that kind of, I mean, you know what it's like in a rock concert. Everyone's
Oh
in a
yeah.
heightened state of emotion,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, wow, wow, this is amazing. And then, okay, now we come down. I think that's actually why a lot of the musicians do drugs, because they get on a high and then they kind of have to, well, now what? We sit in the dressing room afterwards and we've been on the supercharged high, and now it's just kind of normal reality.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we need to get on a high again. So it's chasing the high again. And so that's not a sustainable source of peace. As you said, you just want a peaceful existence. And then, come, and then you're facing your problems again on Monday morning. Now what do you do? Drugs. So a lot of people, that's a common solution in our highly medicated society. People take various pills, and really all it does is it numbs you out. It numbs the underlying emotions that are really the problem. And they have serious side effects and addictions and so on. So none of these things, and then there's a very down and out looking teenager. And the pain of addiction. I don't know if you've ever encountered it yourself or other people, but it's not a nice, clearly that's not any kind of recipe for sustainable happiness, because it's the highs and the lows, and the lows, seem to way outweigh the highs. Even psychotherapy. I don't know if you've ever tried that, but you can spend a lot of time speaking about it to a therapist, and sometimes people can be in counseling for 10 years, 20 years. And they just keep rehashing the same thing. It's just going over the past. If a good therapist can help them, I'm not saying that they aren't, but a lot of the time it just tends to be rehashing the past, and there's no real letting go. I think that would be my criticism of most psychotherapies, that they're not actually helping the client to really let go of their stuff, because if they really let go, they wouldn't need the therapist anymore. But that's what a good therapist should try and accomplish. Of course, that contradicts their business model as well, which is so um you know money is a big factor in all of this. In fact, Course in Miracles, which I'll talk a little bit more about later as we go into this. All mental illness, says the Course, is some form of external searching. So we are searching outside of ourselves for what is actually within us. And money is just a symbol of that. Money is the enabler of that searching, which is why we've created the financial system we have, and the whole capitalist economy, because everyone is searching for something, and money enables that search. And the lie that companies tell you is that when you buy their product, you will find what you're searching for. Of course, we kind of know at some point as we get older that that doesn't work. We're not going to get this inner peace and happiness that we're searching for from anything external to us, no matter how great it is, no matter how much money it costs. Just ask the celebrities. So this is a lady called Dr. Laurie Santos. She founded something called the Happiness Lab, based in the US. And this is a quote. She said, "We often think we know what will make us happy, but the science shows our minds don't always point us in the right direction. So we long for fame, money, a beach body, a new car, everything I've just showed you. We expect these things will make us happier, but it's just that those expectations are flat out wrong. That's what the research shows." I took that photo myself a few years ago over the festive season. Happiness is 18 days of festive deals. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's going to be come and gone. At work, festive season's over, the party's over, and then what? So it's to find something that's really sustainable. So if you look at the research that she alluded to, it's quite interesting. Something called the grant study that they did at Harvard University. And this was the conclusion. After 75 years, it's now been going over 80 years, but at this point, it was 75 years and 25-word conclusion. Happiness is love, full stop. So they surveyed about 200 and something Harvard graduates, the class of 1944, including John F. Kennedy, interestingly, and many very successful, they were all men, very successful men, who reached the top of their profession. And they found pretty much universally that the guys who were the happiest had love in their life. They had a loving, sustainable relationship. They had loving families, and so on. It wasn't the career success. It wasn't the money that really didn't actually factor into the survey. So the research says, happiness is love, which is what spiritual teachers have been saying for forever. But it's confirmed by this research. They also did a concurrent study with a low socioeconomic group, also in the US, and they found similar results. So it didn't matter, whether it was the top echelon, the Harvard graduates, or these guys. The conclusion was the same, and they tracked them over the course of their lives. So every year they would do an interview, and they would record the findings, and they built up this picture. Actually very simple. Happiness is love. People who have love in their life, they feel loved and they are loving towards others, experience happiness. And those who don't have love, even if they have everything else, are not happy. Full stop. That's a simple conclusion. So let's look at the cause of unhappiness. Okay? So clearly it's going to be some kind of lack of love if happiness is the source of love. This is a lady called Marisa Peer, who is a British hypnotherapist who's treated many celebrities like Princess Diana and Amy Winehouse and many of the Hollywood A-listers. And she says they come to her because they've reached the top of their game and they're still not happy. And they thought that, their success would make them happy, but it hasn't. In fact, they're often even more miserable. And then, of course, they turn to substances and whatever else to try and fill that hole. So they come to when they've got nowhere else to go, because they've tried working with the normal way of finding happiness, so-called what they thought would work, and it hasn't worked. So then where do they go? Well, they end up with Marisa Peer. And really all she does is she gets them to start affirming that they are enough. So she just give them affirmation. Say, I am enough. She say this actor or whoever, just get up every morning, look in the mirror and say, I am enough. 10 times, 20 times, do it again as often as you can through the day. That's as simple as that. I am enough as I am, not because of what I've achieved, not because of my relationships, not because of the fame I have, not, my money, none of it. I am enough just because I am enough. So it's that simple. So as she says, when you know and believe you're enough, you don't need more. When you feel and believe you're not enough, you'll always want more. And that, the celebrities are a case in point. If you underlying believe that that you're not enough, then there's this constant craving. You're gonna try and get more and more, and it's never going to be enough. You can get, as as much money as you like, as much fame, as many relationships, as much drugs, sex, drugs, rock and roll, the whole story, and it's not going to satisfy you because the satisfaction is internal. So I think celebrities are a really good example of an approach to happiness that doesn't work. And we can all learn from it. You don't have to go and do what they've done. You can just learn from their experience and learn from people like Marisa Peer, work for them, and say, actually, the answer is really simple. You are enough as you are, irrespective of what you've done, of what you achieve, of your status, of your fame, of your money, of your relationships. None of that really matters. You are enough at your core. And so the cause of unhappiness is this feeling that we're not enough and then craving more. And this is what the Buddha, 2,500 years ago, this insight, this is the second noble truth of Buddhism. Craving is the source of suffering. He said all suffering comes from craving or desire. And if you keep desiring, then you'll keep suffering because it will never be enough. And I think, that's the society we live in. That's the society we've created. We can see it everywhere. Once you start to open your eyes, you can see that these principles play out on a mass scale. And that's why most people are unhappy. So again, let's look at the cause of unhappiness, take it a step further. Okay, so if you have desire, then where does stress come in? Well, stress is the perception of some form of external threat. This is Deepak Chopra. You've probably heard of, very well-known
Yeah.
medical doctor and author. All stress is the perception of some form of external threat. Now, that threat can just be to what you desire. It doesn't have to be a real threat. It's entirely in your own perception. Oh, I think I want this, and now I think that I'm going to be deprived of what I want, and so now I experience stress. It's a fear, really. Stress is just fear. That's all it is. All stress is fear. The perception of some form of external threat, even if that's completely imaginary. It's just your own expectations that are going to be you think will be violated. But that can cause us huge internal stress. So if you expect something to be a certain way and then it's not that way, then you suffer, don't you?
Yeah.
Because it's not the way you wanted it to be. And then if you keep desiring for it to be that way, you keep causing yourself suffering. So the answer is to let go of that expectation. You got to drop the expectations. Okay, well, it's not the situation that's the problem. It's my expectation about the situation that's the problem. That's why I'm stressed. Is this making sense to you?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. So these are it's kind of principles of mindfulness if you've been exposed to this, but it's to actually really be clear about it and go, okay, I've got to live this way. It's not just nice ideas. I actually have to drop my expectations about everything ultimately, and that's a process. That's why I call this the art of letting go. It's a process, but in principle, if I drop my expectations about everything, then I will never experience stress. Logically, because I have no expectation. Whatever's happening, that's just what's happening. And I deal with it as it happens. Even if it's apparently something terrible, life-threatening, I'll just deal with it in the moment. It's my expectation that's the problem. So we looked at what's the cause of unhappiness. So then what's the key to happiness? Any ideas?
Not having expectations.
Yeah. So mental health is inner peace. It enables you to remain unshaken by lack of love from without and capable through your own miracles of correcting the external conditions which proceed from lack of love in others. So that expectation that you have and that fear that you have of the expectation not being met is a lack of love.
Yeah.
Very simple, if you identify it. But if you can really see it for what it is, then it makes complete sense to let it go. What our egos don't want us to see is they don't want us to see with this clarity. Go, okay, I really see that it's actually just my own expectations and my own denial of love that is the problem. It's not anything outside of me. It's not the world that's the problem. It's my own mindset that's the problem. Because if you understand that, then you can change it. And that's what your ego fears. Your ego is just your sense of being a separate self. It's your normal default self-concept, which almost everyone has, unless you're enlightened. Everyone has a self-concept, which we think is, this is us, this is who I am, so I'm completely normal. But actually, it's not. It's an illusion. It's just a false set of thoughts and beliefs that you believed is you, but isn't really. It causes this, the expectations, the stress, the lack of love in all of its forms. The self-concept is the problem. And so dropping those expectations means you also have to drop your self-concept, which is where it gets tricky because it's not that easy to drop your
I
self-concept,
was
is it?
thinking
It
that
gets
sounded
sticky.
tricky.
And no, it's the hardest thing you'll do because it's
Yeah.
what you think of as you.
Yeah.
You've learned to identify that as you. Oh, this is me, and I have these issues and these dramas and these problems. That's just me. But is it you? Is the question. Is it really you? So it comes down to, who are you really in the end? Who am I beyond the self-concept? And when I come to an awareness of who I really am, then I'm mentally well. Then I have mental health. Then I'm at inner peace. But you can only find inner peace when you understand who you are. That's how it works. If you have illusions about who you think you are, then there will always be conflict in your mind, because you've got two opposing self-concepts going on in your mind. The one says you're just perfect love, you're just inner peace, that's all you are, forget everything else. The other one says, oh, no, 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 no. Corin, you've really got problems. You've got this issue and this problem, and your life just really isn't what you expected it to be, and on it goes. And those two self-concepts are at war with each other. They don't speak the same language. They're opposite. And so this teaching is very simple. It's what you've got to choose. You can't have both. You've got to choose, which one you're going to believe. So happiness isn't then a goal in itself. It's like a butterfly, which when pursued is always just beyond your grasp, but which if you will just sit down quietly may come and alight on you, which is exactly what we just did. So when you sat at the beginning, you weren't seeking happiness, were you? You were just breathing, but what arose in that state?
That happiness and
Was a
peace.
sense of happiness, the sense of greater peace. So you can't crave it, you can't seek it, because by definition, then you can't find it. Seeking means you don't have it. I'm seeking it. And you see the whole problem of our society. You see it particularly in the US and Western societies, because it's craving, craving, I'm seeking and seeking. And I've set up the game in a way that means I can never attain that happiness because I'm always seeking it. By definition, when I'm seeking, I haven't attained it. So the way out of that is just to sit quietly. We call it meditation, but you could just call it sitting quietly. You do something like observe your breath, and you just let go of all of that seeking and all of that craving. I say it's a big exercise for most people, because that's what consumes most of their thoughts. But that's the principle. You just start dropping that, and you come into a state of awareness where there's no seeking. You just are what you are, and you're happy as you are. And when you can know that experientially, then you understand what happiness is. You understand the way to happiness. You're never going to find it by seeking. Pursuit of happiness. In fact, it's in the Declaration of Independence, isn't it? We hold these rights to be inalienable. Life, liberty, and not happiness, but the pursuit of happiness. That's how it was framed. And then look at the society that created. Okay, so everyone's pursuing it, but very few attaining it, because we're constantly in pursuit of it. The Eastern teachings, they understand, no, if you keep pursuing it, you're never going to find it. You have to actually accept it now. You have to find it now. And you do that when you just drop everything else. So the Buddha was an interesting character. I don't know if you know some of his history. Siddhartha Gautama, he was called. And he went out and he searched. He was determined. He was going to find enlightenment. He left a very cushy existence. He was a prince, and he was going to due to become king, and lived a very sheltered life. In fact, he hadn't left the palace compound his whole life. And then he went out one night and he saw the suffering. He saw death, and he saw sickness, and he saw illness, and he saw disease, and it was like shocking. Like he'd never seen this before. And he realized he was living in a false paradise. It was like, I'm living in this total illusion. I can't stand it anymore. I want to find the way out of the suffering. So he left, and he went for 7 years, and he wandered around India, and he went to every teacher, every guru, every anyone who could teach him anything. And he was like, okay, I want this so much. I just want enlightenment. And he didn't find it. He nearly killed himself. He almost died in his efforts, because he was fasting, eating like 1 grain of rice a day for years. almost killed himself. But finally, when he gave up searching, I think he just got so tired of seeking it, and he just dropped it, and he sat under this tree, and it just kind of dropped in, and he just got it. It was like so simple. It's there already. It was always there, but I was so busy seeking it that I couldn't find it. That's the essential teaching of Buddhism. Second, the noble truths, four noble truths, just teach that the simplicity of that realization. Okay, if you keep seeking, you'll never find it. You have to just accept it now. Drop all the seeking, and when you drop all the seeking, happiness and inner peace will naturally arise because that is your natural state. So if you clear away everything else, then what's left must be your natural state. You know? And that's why letting go works, because you just drop everything else, and what's left is your original natural state, who you really are. So it's like a cutting away. You cut away rather than adding to. Now, the personal growth mindset talks about, well, you've got to do this, you've got to become this in order to be happy. You know, we're very familiar with this. Well, when you've got a better job, when you've got the relationship of your dreams, when you've made $1 million, then you'll be happy. This teaching says, no, 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 no. That's not how it's going to work. You need to actually let go of what's covering over your true self. And when you let go of that, then the true self will reveal itself, and naturally you'll be happy. So you cut away. You're not adding to, you're actually cutting away what's not necessary. A very good example of that is the sculpture of David. Michelangelo, when he was interviewed about it, they said, how did you do this? He said, well, all I did was I removed what wasn't David. The greatest sculpture ever, you're probably familiar with. In Florence, I've actually seen it. Amazing. How did he do it? He just cut away what wasn't it to reveal what it really was. And the greatest sculptural masterpiece was created in that way. Similarly, our task is to cut away what's not us in order to reveal what we really are, which is essentially happy. We don't have to try. It just is happy. When we are in our true nature, then naturally we're happy. We don't have to try. Thank goodness, because when you try, you never achieve it. So where can you find it then? Where can you find this authentic happiness? That, by the way, is a image from the Matrix. Have you seen the Matrix movie?
Yeah, it's been a long time, but yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we'll as part of the course, I'll tell you about it. Just now we watch it again because there's so much in that movie. So this is from a guy called Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, professor of psychology and author. He coined the term flow, and he dedicated his life to understanding this concept of flow. He said, to know oneself is the first step toward making flow a part of one's entire life. But just as there's no free lunch in the material economy, nothing comes free in the psychic one. If one is not willing to invest psychic energy in the internal reality of consciousness and instead squanders it in chasing external rewards, one loses mastery of one's life and ends up becoming a puppet of circumstances. So he's saying exactly what I've just said. You're just chasing and chasing these external rewards. You lose mastery of your own self, of your own life, and you become a puppet. And that is kind of how our society is set up. There are powers that be who want you to be a puppet. They want you to respond to their advertising and buy the products that they want you to and do what they want you to because they make money from it. So there's a lot of money to be made from controlling people's minds. But if you start coming into this awareness, you can't be fooled anymore. You go, and I don't buy it anymore. I don't buy all this marketing because I know it's not what you're promising is it's an illusion. It's false. You can't promise me inner peace and happiness from any product that you offer because it comes from within me. In fact, I already have it. Once you understand that, why do you need to go seeking it if you already have it? So the whole thing becomes ridiculous. You don't need to seek anymore. And thinking this way, it would completely change change how it works, wouldn't it? It would change the system.
Hmm.
So how do you do this, actually? So let's talk about getting more practical. So we've understood some of the principles of happiness. How do you actually be happy consistently? This guy, Charles Glassman, put it in quite well in a nutshell. Happiness often relies on just one character trait, and that's self-discipline. It's a discipline to do the things and to let go of those things that don't serve you, that are necessary for your happiness. And most people don't have that discipline because they haven't been trained in it. The world doesn't train you for this. You go to school and university and college and so on, and they don't teach you this stuff. The most essential skill of all, the most essential knowledge is who you are, the most essential skills to let go of what doesn't serve you, what you're not. Surely that should be the core of the curriculum, but it's not. Did you ever get taught in school who you are?
Nope.
They don't teach it, do they? Who are you really? Before we start with any of this knowledge stuff about the external world, let's just who is the learner here? Who's actually learning? Who are you? Again, they would probably deconstruct the whole educational system so that they don't. But as we advance in life and we get older, I'm assuming you're somewhere in your midlife. You don't have to give your age, but
Yep.
you,
52.
you've had some life experience as you get older. Does this really work? This formula for happiness that's been shown to me and that I bought when I was younger. Well, has it really worked? If I'm honest, no, it hasn't worked because I'm still not really happy. So maybe I need to do something different. And that's exactly what this is about tonight. Okay, so what do I do then? Self-discipline to do what exactly? And this is the one thing that I promised to reveal to you. Okay? So if you remember one thing from this presentation, remember this. It's to let go of any negative thought, emotion. I'm going to hyphenate that because it's very difficult often to determine the difference. What's a thought? What's an emotion? It's kind of all bound up, isn't it? You think and then you feel and you feel and you think, and it all kind of gets merged into one. So, but it's and I'll say it as negative. It's a negative thought and emotion because it negates who you really are. That's the problem with negative thoughts and emotion. That's why it's called negative. So if you can let go of any one of those thoughts or combination of those thoughts and emotions, as and when it arises, then you have the key to experiencing. So that's the one essential skill, which gives you the key to experiencing authentic happiness. Right? This is always experienced in your own mind. It's not anywhere outside of you. It's an internal state. I think we'd all accept that, right? Happiness or unhappiness is in my own mind. It's my own state, clearly. Point two is that only your own negative thoughts and feelings can make you unhappy. No one else. It's only your thoughts and feelings about someone or something else that can make you unhappy. Isn't that true?
Hmm. Yep.
And you've probably had experiences where you had an experience, maybe you were really triggered and you were, very unhappy, and someone else was like, "What? I didn't even notice that. That didn't bother me at all."
Yep.
We've all had that experience. So it's our own perceptions of it that are the problem. Therefore, learning how to let go of your negative thoughts and emotions must be the key to your happiness. If those two premises are true, then the third one must be true, correct? That's the logic. Learning how to let go of your negative thoughts and emotions is the key to your happiness. It's as simple as that. So there's only one thing you have to learn, which makes it quite simple. I'm not saying it's easy, but at least you know what to do. So I think most people in their lives don't know what to do. Well, what do I actually do? How do I become happy? I don't know. And they try all kinds of approaches and none of them work until, they'll come to something like this and some teaching like this and think, okay, now actually maybe this makes logical sense. This can work. So that's key benefit one, an authentic happiness. That's not some happiness coming from outside of you. It's temporary. This is, I'm happy as I am. I am enough as I am. I'm happy as I am. And it really doesn't matter what happens outside of me. The circumstance of my life in the world don't really affect that. That's authentic happiness. Then that leads to what I call flow. We looked at flow earlier with Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. He coined the term. So when you are able to let go of your negative thoughts and emotions, you can then stay calm, poised, and able to enjoy each moment. That's the consequence of it. And you can then take positive, effective action to respond to any situation appropriately. So it's not saying you just sit and twiddle your thumbs. You might have to do something about it, but you're in a calm state. And in that calm state, you can be truly effective. Even in a crisis, it's interesting. So even in a situation that would trigger normally a fight or flight response reaction, you will be better served if you could stay calm and you could just go, okay, so I'm in flow. I'll just do whatever I'm called to do. And there's various stories of, I don't know if that's ever happened, but of a woman lifting a car off her baby type thing. Okay, so just I'm in the zone. I just take positive, effective action. I'm not stressed. I'm not freaked out. I just do what's required in that moment. That's really what the state of flow is. There's no attachment to outcome. It's not, oh, I need this outcome, so I'm stressed about the outcome. It's like, no, I'm purely in the moment and I do what is required in the moment, what I feel called and inspired to do in the moment. And we see it, most obviously when we watch sport. You see some of these athletes and they just, how do they do what they do? Because they're just in the moment. They're not thinking about it. They're not doubting themselves. They respond. It just happens. And if they go out of that state of flow, you also notice it immediately. You can say, oh, okay, the guy's tightening up. He's not performing as well. And that immediately starts to show in their performance and in the score. So that's key benefit number 2. You can find the state of fulfilling flow, and you can be able to enjoy life, and respond positively to whatever, and truly effectively to whatever happens. And inevitably, challenges come along. But if you're in flow, you just flow with the challenges. Like, okay, well, that's just another thing I flow with. So you become very resilient, which is the new kind of buzzword, resilience. Well, the state of authentic happiness and then being able to flow with life is how you become resilient. So let's look at flow again briefly. What is flow? It's when we act freely for the sake of the action itself, rather than for ulterior motives. We learn to become more than what we were. So no ulterior motive. I'm just doing it because that's what I feel called to do. I feel inspired to do it. That there's a picture there of, I think, a father and his daughter, and the guys they're just having fun. There's no ulterior motive. They're not trying to achieve anything. Just being in the moment. That's when we feel most ourselves. Then we learn to become more than what we were. That's the key point. We're no longer identified with our separate self that's craving and desiring and fearing and never enough. In the moment of flow, we are enough as we are. And then we act in that way, which then changes our actions, our decisions, our actions. Everything changes when we're in a different state of mind. So that's key benefit number 2. Then you also this leads to a state of higher purpose and what I call ecstatic well-being. So authentic happiness leads to flow in every aspect of your life. And if you can flow with every aspect of your life, then what follows is a healthy, meaningful, what I call extraordinary, ordinary life. It doesn't mean you have to go and do extraordinary things and climb Mount Everest or start a multi-million-dollar business. Or maybe that happens, maybe it doesn't. But just in your daily life, whatever you're doing, the quality of what you're doing becomes far better. And you're happier in what you're doing. You're immersed in it. You're in the flow. So it's ordinary. You're still doing your job or, and various other things in your life. But your state of mind is extraordinary. And so you have what I call miraculous experiences and results. Filled with miraculous experiences and results on an ongoing basis. And this is what it means to lead a miraculous life. Miracles are just corrections in perception that allow you to stay in the state of happiness and flow. especially when you challenge not to be. So it's learning to transform those challenges into opportunities to experience greater happiness and flow. So that's key benefits 3 and 4. So authentic happiness, fulfilling flow, higher purpose, and this well-being comes if you're happy and you're in flow, then well-being will follow, and everything that goes with that. So things like diet and exercise, they start to follow. When if you're happy, then there's no resistance. Why wouldn't you want to eat correctly? Why wouldn't you want to exercise and treat your body with respect?
Mm-hmm.
It's when we're not happy that we then do the dysfunctional things. We eat the wrong foods, we take the wrong substances, we don't exercise. But the cause is psychological. It's not physical. Those things that we do, the dysfunctional behaviors, are just a symptom. They're not the cause. To get to the cause, you've got to go into the psyche and really look at the cause of your unhappiness and the source then of your happiness.
Yeah.
So to summarize, 4 keys to extraordinary ordinary success, which is to be happy and in flow in your life. It's not about any external achievement, but if you can stay in that state, then some very interesting things can happen, can manifest in your life. So benefit 1 is the key to authentic happiness, how to let go of any negative thoughts or emotions, no matter how challenging the situation provoking them seems to be. Number 2 is the key to fulfilling flow, how to remain poised and enjoy the moment while taking positive, effective action to respond to any situation appropriately. Number 3, key to higher purpose and ecstatic well-being, how to be happy and in flow in every aspect of your life and live a healthy, meaningful, extraordinary, ordinary life filled with miraculous experiences and results. And if you can do that, I'd say that would be success. If you could live all of that, that's a successful life, isn't it?
Yeah, that'd be pretty great.
Irrespective of what you achieve.
Yeah.
And what will come out of that can then be, some pretty extraordinary results. If you're in a state of flow, as we see with, athletes, and they can do some pretty extraordinary things in that state. But it's not the outcome that's the point. They're actually just enjoying the moment. They're just in the flow. It means I'm just in the zone, as they call it in sport. I'm enjoying the moment, and actually I've let go of my attachment to outcome. You can only be in flow when you're not thinking about the result. So it's kind of counterintuitive. The world tells you, well, the more you desire these things, the more likely you are to achieve them. This says, no, no, no. The more you desire them, the less likely you are to achieve them. Actually, let go of the desire for the outcome. Just enjoy the process, and the outcome will follow. That's the flow mindset. Does that make intuitive sense to you?
It does. Yeah.
Yeah, I think from if you've lived long enough, from your own experience, you start to know that. Remember when I started out on this path 20 years ago, I started doing goal setting. It's like, does this really make me happy? And I'd look at, my goals at the end of the year, and I'd get depressed because I'm like, well, I didn't achieve very much. I had all these great goals, and at the beginning of the year, and then like actually none of it really, well, not none of it, but not a lot of it didn't happen. And then you kind of feel disappointed with yourself. So it's like, well, I just dropped it. And then she was like, okay, well, that clearly doesn't work. It doesn't actually make me happy. So drop it. What purpose does it serve? And then you start learning to live, more in the now, more in the flow, and things kind of flow forward, and you're not in control of the outcome, but you flow with life,
Mm-hmm.
and things do tend to work out better. It's not to say you won't have challenges, of course you do,
Yeah.
but you are able to kind of flow with them. You don't resist them anymore. We get into trouble when we start resisting things. We're craving things, and we're craving for things not to be a certain way, which is resistance. The Buddha talked about craving and aversion. He said, it's the same thing, really. Whether you're really desiring something, you really, really want it, or you really, really don't want it. It's the same thing. You're craving for it not to be a certain way. But
Mm-hmm.
both set up an unhealthy pattern in the mind, which mean that you're not going to be happy. You can't be happy and in flow if you're in craving and aversion. It's very simple. So the principles are really simple. Authentic happiness, fulfilling flow, that leads to a higher purpose, because your purpose is to live in happiness and in flow. You
Hmm.
don't need to achieve something out there in the future. It's right here, right now. I'm happy and I'm in flow. So that's my purpose. And if I do that, then I feel very well. So I have ecstatic well-being. I can really feel fantastic. And that can be an ongoing state of mind, which will be reflected, in my body, and the body follows suit. Um, so uh, key benefit 5 is this life of extraordinary ordinary success, but it's holistic. It's not success defined by worldly terms. It's
Hmm.
success in your experience of life. If I'm happy and I'm in flow and I'm able to deal with the challenges of life in a happy, flowing way, that's success in my view. That's and you can define it. Everyone's got to define it for themselves, but I can't think of a higher version of success. Can you?
It sounds good to me, gotta say.
Hmm.
Yep.
So can you see why letting go is the critical skill?
Yeah, definitely.
Let's summarize it. So you start with letting go of whatever the negative thoughts and emotions are that are blocking your happiness. That leads you to authentic happiness, because if you let go of everything else, that's all that remains. And every great spiritual teaching of authentic happiness that lies beyond all of your mind-made illusions. And people have attained it, like the Buddha and other spiritual masters. That leads you into a state of flow. So flow is like happiness in action. Okay, so I'm not going to just sit twiddling my thumbs. I'm operating in the world, but I'm doing it from a state of authentic happiness, which is not disturbed by any of the things that happen in the world. So I'm continuously letting go of whatever triggers me, and then I can stay in the flow. And when I'm in flow, I can operate in the world and I can function in a very happy and effective way. It's very highly effective. It's the most effective state you can be in, which is why it's now highly priced in sport, in business. People are starting to go, yeah, this flow thing, we need to get into it. A lot of them don't get into it because they still want the outcome. Well, the
Yeah,
whole point of flow is you've got to let go of the outcome. That's the whole point. Otherwise,
yeah,
you can't get into flow. And that leads you to a higher purpose, ecstatic well-being, and true success with the foundation, which is letting go. And so that's why it's the one critical skill. It's the one essential skill that you need to learn. And that's why I've called this masterclass and the program the art of letting go. Because if you can learn to do that, everything else follows. If you don't learn to do it, all of that gets blocked. If you
hmm,
can't let go of your negative thoughts and emotions, you're not going to be authentically happy. You're going to be upset, angry, fearful, jealous, enraged, whatever the state is, and a combination of those emotions. You can't find flow in that state because there's no underlying happiness. Happiness has got to be built on the foundation. Flow has got to be built on the foundation of happiness. So how can you flow if you can't even be foundationally happy? And
yeah,
then forget higher purpose, ecstatic well-being, and true success. You just kind of grind your way through life and you try and find some kind of satisfaction in the external world.
yeah,
And that's how addictions develop. Okay, well, I've got to get something to fill this hole inside of me. And of course, nothing does.
yeah,
Whatever you try, whether it's a substance, whether it's work, whether it's a relationship, it's not going to fill the hole because the problem is internal. You've got to fix it at its root, which is in your own mind. And letting go goes to the very root of the problem and lets it go at the cause, which is why it's so powerful. So then you might say, okay, well, okay, how can I learn it? Which is exactly why you came here.
yeah.
How can I learn to let go and find my flow? That's the question. So, learning new information is necessary. Hopefully, you've learned something tonight, and
Hmm.
great. Some of it you probably already knew. Some of it maybe some new information, but it's not enough, is it? It's
No.
sufficient, but it's not enough. It's like you could go away after this masterclass and go, okay, yeah, I learned some stuff, but I'm going to get up tomorrow and has my life really radically changed? Probably not.
Hmm.
So let's look at how you really do it. How do you actually get a radical transformation? There are two ways to true transformation. Number one is through intense pain and suffering. So you're forced to you're forced to go within because the pain is so intense. You have to go within, you have to break through to a new level of understanding and wisdom. I call this the way of the cross.
Mhm.
It can work. There have been a number of notable spiritual teachers who've attained their more enlightened state in this way. Are you familiar with Eckhart Tolle?
I know the name. I don't know his stuff. No.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he's very well known. He's written a couple of major bestsellers, The Power of Now and
Yeah.
New Earth, and he's probably one of the best known sort of spiritual teachers. So the first 29 years of his life were miserable. He was thinking of suicide when he was 6, right? So he was a
Mm.
deeply unhappy child. Um, he's just got worse and worse. At 29, he was just lying in bed one day, going, "I just can't stand it. I can't stand myself anymore." So this thought comes into his mind. It's so intense. His suffering is so intense that it just kind of crashed. Like I went into some kind of vortex. It felt like I was being sucked into this whirlpool, and I passed out. He was lying in his bed anyway, so he went to sleep. He woke up the next morning, and it was like his ego had collapsed.
Mm.
And he looked around. He went, "Wow, I'm just seeing the world completely with new eyes. Everything's peaceful. I'm seeing light everywhere." He was in London at the time, so he went into London. He said, "Yeah, even though the city carried on and was very busy, everything was peaceful. I was peaceful." He said, "Wow, like what's going on here?" And then, he started to study some of these ancient spiritual teachings, and he discovered that he'd had one of these enlightenment experiences. Uh, but he did it the hard way. He said, "I didn't do any spiritual practice. It just kind of happened because I suffered so much." So that's unusual. It doesn't happen very often. As you said,
Mm.
like for most people, it's going to happen much more slowly. And so, into number two, the second way to true transformation is through conscious discipline practice of spiritual ideas and techniques. So you systematically grow in understanding and wisdom. I call that the way of mastery. So you can actually do stuff. And there's many spiritual practices that address that to help you to gain a deeper understanding and ultimately to gain uh, wisdom and the peace of mind that you yearn for.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to talk about. The way of the cross, like good luck with that one. It's a lot of pain and suffering, and it may or may not
Yeah.
happen. There's some people who could suffer
Yeah.
for decades, and they
Yeah.
don't get the breakthrough. It doesn't happen. So rather, let's train it. I was a professional squash player in my time. Like I understood the power of disciplined, concentrated practice and training. You have to.
Hmm.
If you're going to be professional, if you're going to acquire any kind of skill to a high level, you've got to practice. And that's exactly what this is. This is the ultimate accomplishment, enlightenment, your peace of mind, your happiness. It's the biggest thing. So, the thought that we just should have it by default is ridiculous. We've got to practice it like anything else. And that's what the way of mastery involves. So it involves understanding and realization through your personal experience. It requires your active willingness and discipline effort. There's no free lunch. You can't just, oh, I'm
Hmm.
just going to do one meditation and awaken. It's like, no, it's ongoing, it's consistent. You have to make it a way of life. You have to integrate it into your life. So doing key spiritual practices regularly is essential because if you don't do them, then you're not transforming your mind. You're not changing your mind actively. And
Yeah.
if you don't do them, what happens is the default modus operandi, which we call your ego, comes back and it runs your life. That's what it does,
Yeah.
unless you counter it with these spiritual practices. It can be facilitated by another person or a group who help to raise, I call anyone who's on this path an initiate, spiritual terms. That's someone who's willingly undertaking a path of spiritual growth through spiritual practices. So they help raise the initiate's consciousness by transmitting positive energy, and secondly, also holding him or her accountable. That's a huge thing. If you're not accountable to anyone, you can go, well, I don't really feel like doing that today, so I
Yeah.
won't do it. You know how it goes.
Oh yeah.
Do that. And then another day goes by and you don't do it again. Before you know it, you just way out of the habit of doing any kind of spiritual practice. And you go, wow, I haven't meditated for a month.
Yeah.
And I'm not feeling so great. I'm feeling stressed. I'm feeling because you didn't do it consistently. So the accountability is key, and that comes from the group, and it also comes from the person, leading the group. And that's good because it keeps you accountable to your own higher self. You're only being
Mm,
accountable to like your own highest self that you should follow, but on your own, it's very easy to slip back into your old ways.
yeah.
And so it's immersion in these key spiritual practices, I call it, and the positive field of consciousness greatly accelerates it. You can immerse yourself into this for a while. It's a transformational field. People like Rupert Sheldrake talk about the morphic field. So we pick up on energy. We are immersed in the field. Right now, you're in a field, even though we are thousands of miles apart. You're in a field of consciousness, and you can feel it
Yeah.
because it's not physical. It's metaphysical. It's on a mind level. So even using technologies like this, like Zoom, it it still works. It's amazing that this field transmits across time and space. So these seven key spiritual practices that I promised to tell you, including breathwork techniques. So we did some of that already. And in Eastern teachings, they called it asana, pranayama, and pratyahara. So this goes way, way back. You've heard of yoga, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's heard of yoga. But
Yeah.
yoga is not just go to your local yoga class and do your asanas, do your postures.
Hmm.
Yoga goes way, way, way deeper than that. Yoga was probably the first organized, systematic, disciplined, structured process for awakening. It's an eight-limbed path. And these things like pranayama and asanas, they come out of that. They are parts of it. They are limbs of it. But you need to look at the whole. There's 8 components to it. So which are reflected in these key spiritual practices. So breath work is pranayama, that's breath control. Asana is postures, because you got to sit. And I say, sit and breathe. Well, that's your posture. And then pratyahara is withdrawing from the world. So you close your eyes and you focus your attention inward. You withdraw the senses. Number 2 is multidimensional meditation. So it's everything in one, plus what they call dharana and dhyana, which is dharana is a focused form of meditation. So when you focused on your breath and you just constant, I said focus just on the sensation in your nostrils. You managed to do that a little bit. That's a form of dharana. So focused meditation, which leads in time. If you keep doing that, you sort of start melting into this dhyana, they call it, which is a much deeper contemplative state. It's like you maybe even lose focus on the breath, and you're just in this very, very deep state of awareness, deep state of meditation, without much thought going on. So that's the kind of next stage of meditation, which is quite an advanced stage. It can take some time to get there, but it starts with the practice of focusing on something, which is why we use that breath as a mantra to focus on. And number 3 is forgiveness or letting go. Okay, so there's actually practices that I can teach you which help you to directly let go. If you've got an issue, you can look at it and you can let it go directly. And that's incorporated into the yogic tradition as yama, niyama, and pratyahara. So yama is things you should avoid. Niyama is things that you should practice, or it might be vice versa. I always get confused, but it's what you abstain from and what you consciously do. And so that's things like healthy eating and getting your lifestyle right, and not smoking and not drinking. Things you should abstain from, things you should do, like drink more clean water, eat more healthy food, exercise, and so on. So these are the kind of foundational practices. And then pratyahara is the withdrawing from the world. You say, okay, I'm just gonna start letting go of my attachments to things that are going on in my life. It's a key part of letting go. Group discussions. It's another key one. So we do this every day on Zoom. You can join a live group discussion and join with like-minded people on the same path and discuss these kinds of principles, practices, and ideas. And that in yogic tradition is called niyama, which is and svadhyaya, which is an aspect of how you learn. So you're learning through the discussion, essentially. Also reading and listening to spiritual texts. So that's a part of the component. You do that on your own, or we do it in the actual discussions. We read it live on the screen. I share my screen. Fasting and abstinence. So that's not just food. That's abstaining from things that aren't good for you, things like alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, and so on. And so there's a letting go in that, and you're teaching yourself to let go through the practice of not indulging in those habits. And then finally, an end of day reflection. So you just contemplate and reflect on the whole day. That involves asana, pranayama, breathing, withdrawing the senses. You close your eyes, and some contemplation. So, okay, so let me reflect on my day. How did it go? And there's some questions. What did I learn from it? How can I improve? What am I grateful for? These kinds of questions take you into a deeper contemplation, so you can learn what you're supposed to learn from the day. You don't just waste the lessons. So those are the key practices that I've incorporated into. Oh, and then finally, enlightenment. So if you do all of those, the 7 limbs, all of that combined, it eventually takes you into the state they call in East Samadhi. Enlightenment, that's a state of perfect peace, bliss, joy. Nothing's wrong in that state. You're just absolutely 100% okay. Normally, you'd sit in meditation and just feel that okay. But the idea of flow is that you carry that with you wherever you go. And people like Jesus, as depicted there, they lived that. They demonstrated this is actually possible to live in this state and inspire others to find that state. So that brings us to the Art of Letting Go course. So I've talked about some principles, some practices. How do you put this all together? Well, I'm not going to just send you away and say, do it yourself. I've designed a course to help anyone like you and anyone like you who wants to transform. It's a facilitated 6-week mind and life transformation process. It's based on the way of mastery that I just explained, just systematic discipline, spiritual practice, the principles of yoga, immersion learning. So you immerse yourself for 6 weeks in these principles and practices. And in that 6 weeks, you can have some major shifts. I've seen it. So I've run this course a number of times before. It incorporates the 7 key spiritual practices I've just covered, the 7 limbs of yoga. So it draws on probably the most ancient spiritual tradition on the planet. Yoga goes back thousands of years. A guy called Patanjali just formalized it and wrote it down in about the 2nd century AD. But it had gone back. These were practices that had gone back thousands of years. So the home of it's got very deep ancient spiritual roots in the Indian tradition, which is really where all the Eastern teachings came from. It spread then to Japan and China and throughout the East from the center in India. Then the key spiritual practices also include live and recorded daily online meditations and discussion sessions, a 1-week breathwork course, self-study, solo meditation. So there's quite a lot in it. And the whole point is it's multidimensional. So it's kind of working on a number of different angles. And really, if you do all of this, your ego can't sustain it. It starts to kind of dissolve and break down, and you start getting transformations and breakthroughs, which is the whole point. And the goal is to help you to learn to let go of any fearful, stressful thoughts and emotions. So any of those negative thoughts and emotions, whenever they arise, so you can start consistently experiencing. And I've been through these key benefits, but these are the key benefits of the course: authentic happiness, that you'll know how to let go of any negative thoughts or emotions, no matter how challenging the situation provoking them appears to be, and choose to be happy instead. I'm not saying it's always going to be easy, but you will know how to do it at the end of the course, because that's what I'm teaching. Key benefit. Let's talk about a case study. So this chap, he was about 80 when he joined the course. It was the first one I ran about 5 years ago. And he'd been studying this book called A Course in Miracles I'll talk a bit more about now, um, for 27 years. And he said, well, I've learned more in the last 6 weeks than the last 27 years of studying, which was probably the best compliment I've ever had, because I was under a bit of pressure. I'd only been studying for 13 years. I'd had half his
Yeah.
experience. Um, and he said really what it taught him was to learn how to forgive truly.
Yeah.
He had this quite major shift, which I'll tell you about now. But let me tell you a little bit more about the course, first of all. So have you heard of A Course in Miracles?
I have not, no.
Okay, so great. It's a book. So there you can see a copy of the book. It's quite a thick book. As you can see, it's got about 1,300 pages in it. So it's kind of a tome. It's written in quite high English. It's a text of about 670 pages, explaining in detail the principles and philosophy in which the course is based. There's a 488-page workbook made up of 365 daily lessons. So that is, you practice one lesson a day, which is really a meditative practice. He's asking you to meditate, contemplate on these ideas, um, designed to systematically train your mind how to let go of its negativity and allow you to live in a miraculous state of mind, or what I call flow. Whether you call it flow or you call it miracles, it's ultimately the same thing. So as part of how I translate this course, we change the language and we go, okay, instead of a miracle, we call it flow. Instead of some Christian terms which it uses, we change the language so it becomes just more understandable.
Yeah.
And a manual for teachers, which is like a Q&A format. That's the FAQs, essentially. So you're probably wondering, well, what is it actually? Who wrote this thing? Okay, so it was transmitted by Jesus to an American professor of psychology in New York named Helen Schuckman between 1965 and 1972. She was the most unlikely candidate to receive this. She was an atheist. She was quite highly strung, quite highly anxious, atheist in this academic department in New York City, one of the busiest cities in the world, and really not spiritual at all. And neither was her boss, a guy called William Thetford. Both of them, by their own admission, were living very unspiritual lives. They were, stressed. They were concerned with professional advancement. There was a lot of infighting in the department, as happens in academic environments and companies. And so one day they were on their way to a disciplinary hearing, and Helen's boss, Bill, said, there's got to be a better way than this. I'm just tired of this. Another disciplinary hearing. This is ridiculous. Surely there's a better way. And Helen agreed with him and said, yes, actually, I agree. There must be a better way. I don't know what it is, but I'll help you find it. And so in that moment was a meeting of two minds in a common purpose. They'd had a lot of interpersonal conflict themselves, but they met in that moment in a common purpose. There was a joining of purpose. And very soon afterwards, she started having quite vivid dreams and sort of psychic experiences. She talked to Bill about it. She was like, what's going on? He said, well, because they understood psychology, this kind of stuff can happen. And 6 months later, this voice started speaking to her, said, this is the Course in Miracles. Please take notes. Like, what do I do now? She phoned him, said, what do I do now? And he said, well, just, take notes, see what it says. And so she wrote down what it said. And it was the introduction to the course, which is profound. And he said, well, Helen, this is actually really good stuff. She said, yeah, I know, I didn't write it. And so began a process of 7 years of transcribing this amazing material. It was transmitted by Jesus. He said that as such. He said, look, this is who I am. And he referred to his disciples. And he speaks with an authority that's very difficult to doubt. So that's the history. That's the story of it. That's how it came into being. They finally finished it in 1973. Took them a few years to publish it. It was published in 3 volumes in 1976. And so it's been around about 50 years. It's a relatively new spiritual path, but it is an amazing path because it's a systematic mind training course to teach you a radically different way of thinking about and perceiving everything from a non-dual perspective. So it's comprehensive, saying you've got to change your perception of everything. And you've got to see it differently from what he calls a non-dual perspective. Non-dual means not two. This is where the ancient yogic teachings come out of a non-dual awareness, It's called Advaita Vedanta. It means the knowledge of not two. This is the Western equivalent. In fact, Bill Thetford said this is like the Christian version of Vedanta. So it means that you're coming from a perspective of oneness instead of from a perspective of separation. And that makes all the difference in how you perceive things. Very simply put, it takes some time to get your mind around that. So what does that actually mean? But that's what the course is designed to train you. That's why it's a course, because he knows that if you're thinking from a separated perspective, then a non-dual thinking is not going to be your natural state. In fact, it's going to seem very unnatural to start with, and you have to practice it. So it's designed to teach you how to forgive or let go of every false and therefore negative belief, thought, and emotion that causes you and others to suffer. Every negative thought and emotion. It's comprehensive, so that you can find complete happiness, complete peace of mind. So it's a spiritual path that will allow you to live happily and peacefully and lovingly. All of that you could summarize as miraculously or in flow in the world, and ultimately escape the world entirely. So it talks about a transcendent dimension or reality, which Jesus called the kingdom of heaven. We call it the state of pure formless awareness, or pure formless awareness of perfect love, which is just a state of mind that is completely peaceful, completely happy. There's nothing that ever goes wrong in that state. That is a state that transcends perception. It transcends worldly experience. It's what all the great mystics and teachings of the world have taught since time immemorial. So it's that there is another reality that is there, and it lies within you. As Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is within. So let me ask you, do you have any faith? Are you Christian?
I'm
Have
an
you looked to the
atheist.
Eastern teaching? You're an atheist. Okay.
Yeah,
So in a way that's good, because you don't have any existing belief system
yeah,
to undo. So
yeah,
what it means is that we can work on purely, we're not talking about dogma, we're not
yeah,
talking about believing in some God outside of you. This is your own state of mind. That's all
yeah.
that this comes down to. It's your own state of peace, happiness, love, joy that you feel in your experience. Whether you want to call that God or heaven,
Yeah.
the language is irrelevant. It's your own state of mind that's key. And that's really what the course focuses on. Focuses on helping you to find that state of mind which we all yearn for. And if you find that state of mind that is genuinely religious or spiritual, you could call it that, but it doesn't matter what you call it because you're happy.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the focus of the Course in Miracles. It's on your own internal state of mind, your own happiness and your own peace, not on theory, dogma, and etc., because that
Mm-hmm.
typically doesn't work, which is probably why you are an atheist. If you've looked at traditional religion, you go, well, does that really work? Maybe
Yeah.
you were exposed to it. We kind of, we go, no, I don't buy that. So then, we reject it. But many of those teachings, that come through in traditional religions are really twisted. They're not, they distorted versions. They're not what was originally taught. They're not what someone
Mm-hmm.
like Jesus taught. They've got very distorted over 2,000 years. And so this is a revision. He's saying to us, okay, I'm going to give you in this course what I really taught. And so that you can learn these teachings and this thought system, and you can apply it just like I did, and you can attain the same state of mind as I did. He was a very loving, probably the most loving person he ever lived. He was very loving, he was very kind, did all kinds of miracles. How did he do that? That's the question. What was his inner state of mind? What was his thought process? And I was going, okay, well, I'll tell you. You don't have to go back to the Bible and get little snippets of what I said recorded by the disciples who didn't really understand what I meant. You can actually get it direct from me because it's word for word. He's dictated it. So let's look at some well-known students and teachers of the course. There's Marianne Williamson. You're probably familiar with her. Apparently she's running for president again.
Oh,
Um, yeah,
yeah. No, I'm not familiar
Democratic.
with her.
Yeah, so she's one of the better known. She wrote a book called Return to Love, and she was friends with Oprah. So there's Oprah, you're probably familiar with her. That's Nelson Mandela. who was head of this country. I'm in South
Mm-hmm.
Africa at the moment, by the way. Deepak Chopra, Wayne Dyer. These are, makers Eckhart Tolle, and there's myself. Not quite in the same league of fame, but on the same path really, because
Yeah.
that's what it's about. So let me just introduce myself very briefly, so you know a bit more about me. There I am, that was about 30 years ago. I was a professional squash player at the time. So I think that's where I sort of got a lot of the discipline to go, okay, I understand that you've got to train, you've got to work at things. It was a really good grounding. And then, okay, thanks, man. So I then uh, through my squash came to an awareness of some of these principles. I had this pretty amazing experience on the squash court. It was a spiritual experience where I just let go of fear. I had a lot of fear around the results, and it's like, okay, I'm playing. This is my local club, and I'm playing this older guy, and I'm professional. I shouldn't lose to him. I put all this pressure on myself, and somehow in that moment, I managed to just let go of all of that expectation and drop it all, and I just played. And it was really a genuinely spiritual experience on the squash court. I was in a complete state of flow. It all just happened, and I need to say I won. That really wasn't the point. I liberated myself from the fear that was really getting on top of me, and I never went back to that same level of fear. For the rest of my career, I was
Yeah.
able to play with a degree of freedom that I hadn't. So I learned this experientially, and then I'd done a lot of personal growth and so on. And the end of my 20s, I had to let go of this major ego goal, which was to be a world champion. I wanted to be the world champion in
Mm-hmm.
this game called squash. I don't know if you know what squash is. They do
Yeah.
play it in the US, but it's not big. I wanted to be the world champion because my ego thought that this was what was going to make me happy. This would define my life. This would give me, status and kudos and etc. And I'd worked for 20 years towards that, and I failed. I didn't do it. I'm miserable.
Yeah.
I didn't get close. But in hindsight, I'm very glad because that was a major letting go opportunity. I had to let go of a lot of that self-concept that thought that I needed to do something in order to be valuable. In
Mm-hmm.
order to be valid in my life, I had to achieve this great goal, and then I would be happy. That's the game I'd set up. And I remember, what was it, 29, 28. I was like, okay, so I haven't done this. And I was a bit depressed for a while, obviously. But
Yeah.
um, I really thought about it. I said, well, maybe I just got it all wrong. Maybe the whole theory was wrong. Maybe I didn't really understand. So this whole I read books like Tony Robbins and Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill and these kinds of books for years since I was a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're not correct. Maybe they're missing something. And so I started exploring. I was like, okay, so maybe there's something I'm missing. And I started to read other stuff, things like Eckhart Tolle's Power of Now and Wayne Dyer's books, and anything I could lay my hands on was more spiritual. And I started to get into this understanding that there's something much deeper than just your ego's goals. I started to understand what the ego is. Before, I didn't even know what the ego was. What is this thing? Um, and it's still a journey of learning it. But um, you start to understand that there's something beyond just your self-concept, that's beyond your goals, that's beyond anything that you thought was valuable, was real. And it brings you a tremendous amount of peace. I was finding, even though apparently my life goal had fallen apart, I was actually more peaceful than I ever was. And I can continue playing the game, and I actually played better than when I was training full time because I was more relaxed. I didn't really care about the outcome. I just enjoyed it. And I was like, okay, so there's something here. And then I decided in 2003 to start teaching it, formed Life Build with a friend, and started running workshops, retreats. I got more into breath work. I'd always done meditation. I learned transcendental meditation when I was uh, in London, training to be a professional squash player to try and help my squash, but
Yeah.
actually it started to do many other things. That's like it starts to awaken you. So I've been on this path for a long time. I'm now in my 50s, 51. Since a teenager, really. I guess when I was 12, I started reading these kinds of books, and I'm just fortunate to have had some of these letting go opportunities and awakening experiences, which then have allowed me to actually teach these principles from a practical perspective. So I've run that was a retreat I ran the coast place in Mozambique. We did dolphin swimming, um, and I did that for a number of years in South Africa. That's me on a CD Success
Mm.
University, it was called. Don't know if you've ever heard of that. It was in the US actually.
No.
So there I am with my then fiance in London. I then moved over. So this was another like big kind of wake up call for me. I went over to the UK from South Africa, and my life kind of deconstructed everything that I'd built here. I had quite a nice, little business and friends and family and a network. And I went over there and was like, wow, actually, it's all just deconstructed. We had a son, so I got married, had a son, moved countries, changed careers in the space of a year.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
That's a lot.
Radical change.
Yeah.
Kind of a midlife crisis, but it made me again really look at everything. And I realized that I had to apply these teachings. I'd studied A Course in Miracles at that point for about 10 years, but I was teaching it on a superficial level, honestly.
Mm.
I'm being completely honest. So it was like, yeah, I kind of get it. I understand the concepts, but did I really understand deeply, more deeply than just the concepts? No. It was when your life deconstructs and you're really going, wow, you're like I'm really just struggling to cope with all this change, and a lot of difficulty in my relationship. Um, and I realized that I had to really dig deep and apply these teachings. And that's when I started to really learn the course. That was about 10 years ago. Okay, these teachings are what's going to get me through this. And I'm pretty persistent. So I just dug in and I was like, okay, I'm gonna meditate. I'm gonna put myself on a spiritual program, and I've got to get through this. And eventually I did. It wasn't easy.
Hmm.
But on the other side of that, I can look back on and go, I'm very glad that that happened. Because if it hadn't happened, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. I wouldn't be able to teach this course. I wouldn't have the depth of understanding and knowledge that I do, which has been very helpful for others. Yeah, I went into kind of corporate mode, which I still do that. I have other businesses, but this is really my passion. I want to grow this into a much bigger community. And I did a 10-day, a couple of years ago, I did a 10-day Vipassana meditation retreat, which is how I come to. So apart from Course in Miracles, that is really Buddhism. And I understood in that 10 days what Buddhism really means, because it gets you to the very core of what the experience that the Buddha had, because it was all experiential based through the meditation. And I had a very profound experience on that retreat, in which everything just dropped. I was like, suddenly everything I'd studied just was like, okay, I get it. Download. After 9 days of intensive meditation for 12 hours a day, that experience happened.
Yeah.
So I've done a lot of this kind of stuff. I've done a lot of the work, and I guess that allows me to help other people to do it. So that was me. That was the course. I'll come back to Phil's story. Took a little bit of a sidetrack there, but it's important for you to understand who I am, what my experience is. He had a major breakthrough on the last day of this Art of Letting Go course, after the holotropic breathing session, which is a process that we do. Another breathwork session is very powerful. After 6 weeks, and he wrote me this email in the morning, the last morning there. You can read it. Essentially, he, just to zoom in on it, he had a catharsis. He'd had this issue with his parents his whole life. For some reason, he thought that they were never quite good enough for him. for no particular reason, because as he said, his mum was actually really good. She went to university, she got straight A's. But he'd had this issue his whole life. He was 80 and he carried this his whole life. And he just let that go in one moment. Broke through, had a catharsis, sobbed his heart out in that long moment. I was able to forgive myself and also to ask my parents for their forgiveness. I've been carrying this baggage around all my life at a huge cost. So that's the kind of breakthrough that can happen. And that wasn't just the holotropic breathing, that was the whole course. It was at the end of a process. And if you that's the thing, if you keep doing these kinds of processes, eventually something's going to give. And you just never know when that's going to happen. It might be after holotropic breathing. It might be when you're just randomly chopping vegetables. I've had that experience actually. It's like, wow, I just get it. I'm chopping salad. So you just never know. So that kind of breakthrough experience and a genuine happiness that arises can and has come. I've got many more testimonials I can show you if you're interested. Then the fulfilling flow aspect in your daily life. This is about knowing how to remain poised and enjoy the moment while taking positive, harmonious action to respond to any situation effectively. I mentioned that experience on the squash court where I just let go. And exactly this is from Eckhart Tolle. He says, artistic creation, sports, dance, teaching, counseling, mastering the field of endeavor implies that the thinking mind is either no longer involved at all, or at least is taking second place. Power and intelligence greater than you, and yet one with you in essence takes over. There is no decision-making process anymore. Spontaneous right action just happens, and quote, you are not doing it. I had exactly that experience to a T. I wasn't doing it. I was just observing it happening to me. So mastery of life, as he says, is the opposite of control. You become aligned with the greater consciousness, as he calls it. This is the higher power, spirit, whatever you want to call it. There's something there that's in you that can come through you and act and speak and do the works for you. And when you're in that state, it is a miraculous state. It's quite amazing. You go, wow, this is what life could be all the time if I was in the right state of mind. It is possible to be in this state consistently if you know how. And that's what the art of letting go is designed to help you to learn. Higher purpose, that was key benefit number 3. You'll start experiencing more happiness and flow in every aspect of your life and find higher purpose and meaning in all your daily activities. Again, case study. So a guy did the first course I ever ran, and it's developed a lot since then. So it's a lot better than it was 6 years ago. But still, it was profound. He experienced so this he shared in the Facebook group, and then we discussed it in the session. So he was playing a tennis match and he really wanted to win, so there's the expectation, and he tried to force the points and he made mistakes. And if ever you've played sport and you get into an uncreative state like it, it doesn't go well, especially in individual sports. So like, oh God, just playing terribly, it's not going well. So not a good experience. He had these meaningless thoughts, he says, of winning, the importance of performing well. He lost his temper, and he's going, okay, this was a major kind of lesson. So we spoke about it. I said, okay, so this is how you need to approach it. This is the principles of flow. Here's some breathing. He applied it. He played the same guy the next week, and completely different experience, completely transformed experience. This is what he said. I kept that in mind. I centered myself. I breathed. I experienced peace. I played much better. Aimed just to take a set off him because he hadn't quite dropped his expectation. But largely in the moment, he was in the moment. That's the key. And he beat the guy in 3 sets, which he'd never done before. And he realized, here's the key thing. This is where you can see the flow in action. I realized it wasn't about competition and winning. It was really about the experience. I was in flow. I really enjoyed it. I was at peace. He was a pastor, so he frames it as I experienced God's pleasure in me that day. And I also learned that I can choose to let go of anger, which doesn't work, and be at peace instead. And he learned all of that from an experience on the tennis court. And that's the whole point. So it wasn't just, oh, I had a great game of tennis. It's like, wow, I learned a profound life lesson through that, which will no doubt stand him in good stead for the rest of his life. Um, so that's higher purpose. Your higher purpose comes out of the flow. And ecstatic well-being is you start experiencing more and more of these kinds of ecstatic, they can be amazing experience. You can experience happiness and peace that is extraordinary. For most people, they would go, that's not possible. It is possible, and it's possible to do it consistently. Not necessarily all the time, but you can have these experiences punctuating your day. Moments of like, I'm just so happy. I just want to laugh. It's just amazing. I have these moments all the time because when you tap into the happiness and the flow, that's what comes. It's a natural consequence. So again, this is someone who did the course 5 years ago, actually, Hazel. Um, she did a process we call inspired decision making. It's a group exercise on Zoom, and she had this pretty amazing experience, which she describes. Feeling of expanding energy radiating from my heart center, which I've never experienced before. The energy felt like pure love, which was exhilarating to the point of me being wide awake all night. But she wasn't unhappy. It's like, what a stunning experience, which will stay with me for the rest of my life. So that can happen. I can't promise it. But if you do these kinds of processes and you start opening your heart, you just never know. This lady, Robin, also did the course a few years ago. I think she did the first course. So this was her rating. She said, I'm totally satisfied with what I got from it. And did it help you to let go of negative thoughts and emotions and find more happiness, flow, fulfillment, and purpose in your daily life? Yes, extremely helpful. And her summary of it was, well, overall, I have peace, less anxiety, I sleep better. She was on painkillers when she started the course. She had stress headaches. That's gone, and still gone. She hasn't gone back to that. She's still a part of the community. Better relationships with my children. She had 2 kids, and just generally not as frightened or worried. And all of that in 6 weeks. That's a pretty, holistic, life-changing experience. So that's what it can do. I'll let her. She kindly shared a video, so I'm just going to share this with you. I'll let her share her story.
Hi, my name's Robin. I did the course last
Do you want to stop the video?
year with Jonathan. I'd never heard of the course before. It was something entirely different to me, although I've been practicing meditation. I've been going to breathworks for some time, trying genuinely to find peace. I'm a mum, I work, I've got a normal busy life. I've been plagued with headaches. I've been plagued with sore necks and the normal problems that people have. I found that through the course and joining the online community, I found a group of like-minded people all exploring the course. The course is fundamentally different. At first, I thought it was all about religion, which it wasn't, although it is about God. And I do believe in God. And it made a great deal of sense in my life that the only thing is really that we concentrate on is God. It's about finding love. It's about being kinder to people. I still listen to the teachings every day. I've found that by listening to the teachings and following the book and reading, I have become more compassionate. I've become a nicer person. I feel less guilty. I feel that the world is a different place. I don't feel that the world is always a good place. It's not. But I believe that it impacts me less. I used to be traumatized by the world. I used to lie awake and worry about things that are happening and my children and my life and worry about my past and worry about the future. I've found that I've achieved a sense of peace. And if nothing else, I'm really grateful to Jono and the people I met on the course, because that sense of peace has helped me to heal many parts of my life. I no longer have headaches. I used to suffer with headaches. I used to have terrible neck pain that I was on painkillers on all the time. And honestly, those things have gone away. I don't take painkillers for my neck and I don't have headaches anymore. My relationships with my children are much better, and my relationship with myself is a lot better. So in all, it's taken a lot of the jagged edges off of life, and it's just made life more bearable. And if you think about it, we probably going to be here for a long time. So if it continues to get more and more bearable, and as I say, each day I learn a new lesson, and it does make life a little bit different and a little bit better, and I see things a little bit more clearly. And that to me has been the biggest gift of the course.
Yeah, so there's a personal testimony. I've got many others, but that's what it can do. That was in 6 weeks. Completely changed your life, and has continued. It's been sustained. I'm still in touch with her. So if you summarize some of these key benefits, the authentic happiness, really you'll know how to let go of any negative thoughts or emotions, no matter how challenging the situation appears to be. You may not always do it straight away, but you'll know how, and once you know how, eventually you will do it. Because you'll understand that, well, you're just making yourself unhappy, and there's no point in that. So why not let go? Because you know how to do it. In terms of your daily life, your daily activities, you do them in a state of flow. You'll know how to remain poised, to enjoy the moment while taking positive, harmonious, effective action to respond to any situation, which would make you highly effective in whatever you do. Presumably, do you work? Do you have a job?
Yeah.
Business? Yeah. So, very, very practical. You've got situations that arise in your work, and you've got to deal with them. How do you do that? Well, if you're poised, you're calm, you're at peace, and you can take effective action, you're going to be so much better at your job. You experience fulfillment, higher purpose, and well-being. So this is where it all starts coming together. The happiness and the flow in every aspect of your life means that you find meaning just in your daily life, that you're not looking for it elsewhere. It's in the happiness and the flow that you experience. You just feel happy, peaceful, joy. Results come from that. Inevitably, if you're in that state of mind, a flow state creates high quality results in whatever you're doing. And the results, without focus on the outcome, the results just tend to follow. They just, it's called synchronicity. If you're familiar with Carl Jung's work, he actually coined the term synchronicity to coin this state of, well, things just kind of happen. They don't seem to be connected, but they kind of are, and they're helpful. They're beneficial.
Yeah.
They're pointing in the right direction. So if you can start tapping into all of that, that's really the formula for true success. Happiness and peace, even under pressure. It's another guy, John from Ireland, who did the course a couple of years ago, was able to handle very difficult situations in a calm and peaceful manner. That was his feedback after the course. We heard his testimony about the tennis court. We realized it wasn't about competition and winning. I think that's really key. It's not about, life is not a race you win. You can't win life.
Yeah.
If you listen to Simon Sinek, he's a motivator. You don't win at business or at life. It's ongoing. So it's more about being in the flow of life. And that brings you a sense of ongoing well-being. That's thriving. That's true success. The results come from that. But paradoxically, without focusing on the results, you actually achieve better results. It's this kind of weird paradox that most people don't teach you, but it works. And the more you apply these lessons, the more you see that they work. And then Robin's overall experience, well, pretty much changed every aspect of her life. She got off the painkillers. She found peace. Her relationships improved, and she dropped all of that fear and anxiety. So I'm just going to briefly tell you like what the course entails in terms of the components of it. Then I'll wrap it up. So meditation, you're going to get a 1 hour. Also cut it down to 40 minutes and 30 minutes in case you don't have an hour. Doing a guided letting go theta meditation. I recommend you do that in the morning to start off your day. So you get up an hour earlier than you would otherwise if you don't already meditate, and you meditate. And you just listen to the track and I guide you through it. So this is what Martin had to say, been wonderful, brought a lot of value. Love the second part of where you center yourself and smile, very powerful stuff. That's also give you a power sleep track. So I use that all the time. I go to sleep with it. I actually sleep with it at night with headphones. You don't have to do that, but it helps you to go to sleep and get a much deeper night's sleep. There's 2 live guided meditations, Monday to Friday, every day. So that's about 5 hours a week. In terms of the benefits of meditation, just going to briefly, there's a tremendous amount of research that says that it's effective in dealing with stress. Just half an hour per day over a period of 8 weeks. One study found people were less stressed, they were less reactive to other people's negativity and suffering. They became more compassionate. And there's hundreds of studies that say the same thing. And so meditation is a key part of the program to lower your stress levels, boost your immunity, and improve mental and physical health and well-being. The benefits go on. Yeah, lower your stress levels, peace of mind, poise under pressure, mental clarity and concentration, raising your energy levels, helping you sleep more deeply, increasing your productivity and effectiveness, boosting your immune system and general health, enhancing your sense of well-being, slowing down your aging process, helping you live longer and feel younger, developing intuition and creativity, improving your ability to let go and forgive others, experiencing more loving and harmonious relationships as a result, making you feel happier and more fulfilled, and continuously guiding you to find your flow in life. So, when you meditate, you reset, you go back in to the deeper part of you, you connect with that, and then you carry on in your life and you carry that with you. That's the idea. So it's not just meditating on peaceful and meditating, you carry the peace with you. And it has, all of these profound benefits. The more you do it, obviously, the more you experience the benefits. And sometimes, if you do this over the course of time, you find that this starts to become your new way of life. So meditation is a big part of it. You also get recordings of live sessions sent daily via, I must update that, sorry, Telegram. I switched from WhatsApp to Telegram. The reason actually is because Telegram doesn't take a lot of your phone space.
Okay.
It all sits on a server, so you don't have to download anything. It's just there. It also means I can update things. If I want to edit things, I just update it. So it's a better technology than WhatsApp, which downloads it. So when I first started, so everyone was like, well, my phone is getting completely full with all your meditation. So I had to okay, well, we got to find a better solution. So yeah, the Telegram works very well. And then it's all available in the app. So you can go and every day you get meditations. I send you can just go tap that and listen on your phone or whatever device you choose, stick in some headphones, and it's immediately accessible. It's also on an email as well. So whichever modus operandi you prefer, you can use either of those information technologies. Recordings of the live sessions. So if you can't make the live calls every day, I record them and I just stick them on Telegram as a voice note. You can listen to them straight away, or you can listen to them on YouTube because the sessions are streamed. And not the when we're doing process work and people are revealing their stuff, that doesn't get streamed live.
Yeah.
But if we're just doing general coursework and discussing principles and stuff, then that goes live. So that other people, if you don't make the direct live sessions, then you can access the recordings. So if you add all that up, that comes to $377 as a value. Forgiveness or letting go. So that's you get a 10-step letting go process, instruction, and written worksheets. You get some other letting go techniques in a course manual, which I'll show you very briefly, maybe. It might be helpful. In fact, I'll do that afterwards. Let me just finish the presentation because I haven't got it up. A daily mind training lesson from Course in Miracles sent via email and Telegram. So there's a lot of value in all of these, individually speaking. If you were going to pay for all of this would be the the cost, but it's all bundled into one course. So breathwork and mind training is quite a focus. You just did a bit of that. I've been practicing breathwork for about 15 years now. I went so far as to go deeply into some of the techniques. I can hold my breath for a very long time. I won't tell you how long
Yeah.
because it'll freak you out. Um, uh, and have experience. I've done all this stuff myself, so I'm not teaching anything I haven't done and practiced. So essentially, you get a breathwork course and technique as part of it because it's just an enabler. The breathwork is a key part of the meditations. It's a key part of starting to learn to control your thoughts. So that's foundational work in the first 10 days. I take you through the breathwork course, including a holotropic breathing session that we do live. There's a written instruction sheet. So essentially, you're getting, what would be a standalone breathwork course. So one of the ladies had to say, I love these reminders. They really help me. I'm often busy scurrying around, lost in thoughts and believing them. And then these reminders. So I send out these little breath breaks where I say, pause, breathe. It's only a few minutes. And she actually got one when she was having a panic attack. I
Oh
sent it. She said,
gosh.
I was
Yeah.
just having a panic attack and I got this. And I was like, okay, I need to do something. And she listened to it and it stopped the panic attack. So, it's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
Very powerful stuff. The holotropic breathing, that's a particular breathing modality, which takes you into a transcendent realm. It's an altered state. So very, very powerful. So Martin said it's awesome. I went to many events in my life, so you can really, things come up, and it's processing. You're dealing with stuff comes up, so it can bring up negative emotions, but then you release them. It's in a 45-minute session. I've had someone say, he said, I think this is more powerful than some of these Buddhist monks, and they meditated for years. In one session, you could go deeper. It's a very powerful technique. Absolutely loved it. Literally mind-blowing experience because it takes you out of your normal state of mind into an altered state.
Yeah.
Without drugs. No, it's completely
Yeah.
natural. Holotropic. That's remember the Phil's experience that came
Yeah.
after the holotropic breathing. So the breath breaks I send you every day. You're going to get two recorded breath breaks, which you can listen to. So the idea is that you can just consistently do this through the day. If you're not in a live session, a live call, you can listen to a breath break, ideally every hour, just for a few minutes, 3 minutes, and it tops you up. You start the day with a meditation, you top yourself up through the day with the breath breaks, so you maintain that calm, peaceful state. If something comes in to trigger you, you use the breath break to let it go. And if you keep doing that for 6 weeks, you'll be amazed at what happens. Because you're basically reprogramming your mind-body mechanism to now choose peace instead of stress and fear and anger and various other unhelpful thoughts and emotions. So the more you practice, I give you all the tools, I give you the structure, I give you the tools. You still got to do it, but I've tried to make it as easy as possible. Okay, well, there it is. I'm just going to listen. Where I want to go with this is actually develop an app that has the breath breaks all in them, and then it just pops it up, and you say, okay, I want to do this every hour. It gives you the reminder, and you just go, okay, I'd like to listen to the breath break, and it plays on your phone. But that's going to cost $50,000 probably. So that's what my other business interests are like. Okay, so that's money. I'm trying to make money, decent money to invest into this.
Yeah.
Essentially, what you're doing is a whole lot of respiratory muscle training. So this will strengthen your immune system. There's a lot of benefits to this kind of training, improving health, well-being, and athletic performance. Are you a sportsman at all, sportswoman at all? Not really.
I like fitness, but like Sports and I have never really gotten along because I don't react quickly, and I don't know, balls
Yeah.
hit me in the face.
So balls, not balls, but running, maybe
Yeah,
cycling.
running, definitely, yoga, strength training, stuff like that. I've
Yeah,
really enjoyed that. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
you'll find that this breath work will help you. So I used
Yeah.
to be a professional athlete. A lot of these techniques I learned, for performance in sports, but they
Yeah.
actually have huge benefits other than that. So you'll learn all of that in the breathwork course.
Hmm.
Daily emails and the Telegram messages um, containing your daily mind training lesson with an illustrative photo, a related inspirational quote with illustrative photo, your ideal spiritual schedule for the day, links, attachments to the audio and video recordings. So you get pretty much the same material. It's a bit more in detail in the email. You get it on email and you get it in Telegram. So you can interact with it however you want. Some people prefer more shorter form, Telegram, just a message. If you want a whole daily schedule, it's there. I do it in an email. Perhaps I'll just
Hmm.
show you that actually very quickly if you'll allow me to.
Yeah.
I just had my computer just was giving problems, so I restarted it just before the session. So a lot of the stuff I had open was so there is today's email. So this is a daily email. This is the kind of thing you get. The art of letting go, because there's an ongoing program. There's a course, but it's a 1-year program if you want to continue. So this is the kind of format. You get a daily inspirational quote, and I give a bit of teaching around it. Then I'd say join the live session, give you the time, so you can just click on that. They'll take you directly into Zoom. Every week, I give you a movie to watch, which is a inspirational mind training kind of movie. So that's today's movie called Philomena. Great movie, actually, if you haven't watched it. All about letting go and forgiveness.
Yeah.
So it's another way of teaching and learning. And then there's a mind training lesson, one of those 365 daily lessons I mentioned from A Course in Miracles. So there's the lesson, and you see that I translate it. So instead of the God language,
Hmm.
the language is truth answers every call I make to perfect love. Responding. So just read that. Just try this on for size. If you read the first one, see how that feels. Probably won't resonate. So read it aloud.
Oh, truth answers every call we make to God, responding first with miracles and then returning unto us to be itself.
Okay. So how did that kind of push any buttons? Maybe not.
Eh,
Read the second one. So what I've
yeah.
done is translated the whole course into an alternative language,
Yeah.
translating the key term. So read the second one.
Truth answers every call to make to perfect love, responding first with corrections and then returning me to be itself.
So you change the language, perfect love. God is just
Yeah.
perfect love. That's all
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
It's not some conceptual, it's perfect love. From a fearful state to a loving state. I made a correction. That's a miracle. And then it returns to me to be itself. I experience the benefits because I feel more loving. It's not rocket science, is it? It's pretty simple,
Yeah.
actually. You translate the language. But a lot of this language doesn't, it never worked for me.
Yeah.
God, I mean, what does that even mean? What does the word God
Yeah.
even mean?
Yeah.
It's an Anglo-Saxon word that's very short, and it doesn't really describe what it's pointing to at all. So
Yeah.
we call it pure formless awareness of perfect love instead. Now that's a much more descriptive term, right? It's about your own awareness. It's pure, it's formless, it doesn't involve form in this world. It's an awareness and it's perfect love. Oh,
Yeah.
now you're starting to get somewhere. Now the words are pointing you to the actual state of mind that they describe, which, in my view, God doesn't do. For most people, it actually turns them off. Sadly, it's just like, no, I don't want to know. And that various associations, if you be exposed to traditional Christianity, then you have various associations, often negative associations with the word. which doesn't help either. So that's how we kind of, okay, it's just actually about your own state of mind. Then I give you the meditation for the day. So if you click on that, it opens up the half-hour meditation, which you can listen. You can download it. I just give the stuff. Ideally, I'm going to put this on a membership, in a membership site at some point. But at the moment, you just download it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all there. Just take it. And the 6-minute breath break, which is hello and welcome. 6 minutes that you can just, it's like a mini meditation. You can just top yourself up during the day, and maintain that flow state. That's the idea. Short, sweet, to the point. Actually, research shows that you should take a break every hour for at least 5 minutes if you're going to be effective. So take the break, listen to the breath break, do your 5 minutes, then go back to work, and you'll find that you're a lot more effective, productive as well. And so then you get a whole daily schedule.
Just give me a second. I've got someone ringing my doorbell desperately, so I need to go and
Yeah,
check
no
who
problem.
it is. Yeah, sorry
Yeah,
about
no
that.
problem. No, not at all.
Hi there. Sorry about that.
No problem. No problem at all. So let's get back to that. I'll just share my screen again. So you get a whole daily schedule. If you this kind of, some people are not this kind of person, but some people like structure. So I've gone, okay, well, there it is. There's the structure. If you want to get, and in the course, I'd recommend you follow it as closely as you can, because the structure, if you follow it, will give you the results. If you listen to the meditation, one of these meditations in the morning, then there's an essence statement. So all of this stuff you actually go through in the course. I teach you this. Exercise 7, exercise 8. These are all things that are included in the course, and then you continue to practice them thereafter. So after 6 weeks, I don't just say, okay, that's it, on your way. There's a whole 1-year program if you want to continue. Don't have to. The 6 weeks, will it's pretty transformational in itself. But every day you get the structure, and you get some teachings, and so on. So I try to make it very comprehensive, give you all the tools, all the resources, and then it's up to you to use them as you want. You can go into the email on a daily basis and look at all this. Some people don't; they just look at Telegram. People use it as they want to. But if you're someone who wants the structure, then it's all there. And you get Telegram messages, which I'll just show you what Telegram looks like. So there's today's Telegram message. So it's essentially what's in the email without the daily schedule and stuff. So it's shorter, it's sweeter. You get the quote, you get the commentary, you get the video, and this not every day. That's just once a week. Get a movie, and then you get the mind training lesson, which has the lesson for the day. There's more detail on the lesson. There's a document, and then you get the two meditations, the short one and the long one. So that that comes through every day. The material's there. It's in Telegram, and you can then listen to it as you want to.
Yeah.
And you can then join a live session as well, which happen on Zoom.
Okay.
Usually, yeah, it'll be about this time, so 11 a.m. Your time. So you may not be able to join every day if
Yeah.
you're working and so on. Do you work flexi time, or do you have rigid hours? Maybe you can fit it in.
Yeah. I teach school, so I run by the bell.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
So the live sessions, you can get the recordings and you can
Yeah.
listen to them later. Yeah,
Yeah.
later in the day. Because you're what, 8 hours behind us. So
Yeah.
it's a bit of a different time zone. But yeah, you get all the recorded material.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back to the PowerPoint. All right. So yeah, the group discussions I was just talking about. So these are live interactive sessions. If you can make the ones on the weekends, that'd be great, especially the Sunday ones, because we actually
Yeah.
do a lot of the process work on a Sunday, because obviously people work during the week, and
Yeah.
that's where we go through, actually take you through a lot of the transformational exercises, do group exercises, and it's a powerful dynamic, as you said, doing the course together as a group. You share the energy. It helps you with the process immensely. There's a number of, it won't be massive. There'll be maybe 5 people seriously participating. I have a community, but there'll be about 5 people,
Mm-hmm.
including you if you choose to do it, who signed up to. So the sessions will be quite small, which means that we can really do some, you get individual attention. We can do a lot of individual process work in these sessions. So it's about 17 hours a week. If you can't
Mm-hmm.
join all of that live, most of it you won't, but you can get the recordings. So you
Yeah.
can listen to those. If you drive to work, you commute, you can just listen when you're commuting.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of this technology, as long as you got your phone with you.
Yeah.
1 or 2 extra recorded discussion sessions every day. You get audio recordings. And so this is where the major value is. In the live sessions, there's huge value if you can make the lives do the recordings, because that's where the teaching happens, and a lot of the transformation happens live, real time in the sessions. You join the Sunday sessions, you'll see it happens experientially, and those ones where we're doing process work, we don't record it to YouTube or anything. It's personal and private.
Yeah.
Reading every day. So I'd recommend you read from Course in Miracles. You can buy the book if you want, but you don't have to, because I send you the material. So
Mm-hmm.
it's all available on from the email or Telegram message, and you can get it all online or in documents that I send you. So what someone said, I find it so amazing to read. It really speaks to me on a deep level, is answering my questions about life, universe, and everything. So the text is the theory, the workbooks are the practice, and then the manual for teachers is the FAQs. And there's a couple of other bits. So if you want to work through the whole thing, then stay for the whole year, because it's a 1-year program to work through the entire book. But the 6 weeks gives you an introduction to it, using this information technology, emails and Telegram messages, the audio and video recordings, to facilitate that process. So yeah, there's a lot of value in that. £15, and this is number 6. So these are the 7 spiritual practices that I mentioned: fasting and abstinence. So you don't have to do this, it is optional,
Mm-hmm.
but I recommend fasting for 1 24-hour period of every week, and then 12 to 16 hours every day during the 6-week course. It's called intermittent fasting.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go into the benefits of that. There's a lot of physical benefits, but spiritually, it starts to detach you from the need for food, which can be very helpful because food is a major attachment and addiction for a lot of people. So
Yeah.
it can, if there are any issues with food, it helps you to kind of deal with those. When I I never fasted until I started going on the spiritual path. And then when I started, it was like, wow, I didn't realize how attached I was to food. Like, you have to have 3 meals a day. It's like, no, you don't actually. you, one or two will do, and
Yeah.
actually, you can easily. I mean, I did a 9-day, 10-day fast at one point. You can survive, and it just cleans out that mental and emotional attachment. I'd also suggest you don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't take recreational drugs during the process, because it just completely
Yeah.
kiboshes the whole process. The whole point is to abstain from anything that you're using to alter your state other than your mind and natural things like meditation and breathing. Those things, alter your state, and so they're highly addictive. So if you do any of that, I'd just say no for the 6 weeks. I'm going to give myself a break from that, and you probably won't want to go back after 6 weeks, because this is a higher way. Not watching TV, that's another way. Don't watch the news. Just it's like a retreat, really. I don't know if you've ever been on any kind of retreat. It's a retreat, but it's in your own home. So
Yeah.
you're just going, okay, this is a 6 week. I'm detoxing from the world, substances, information. I'm just avoiding this. You can't avoid the news, entirely,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
don't switch on the news. You don't have to read newspapers. You don't have to go onto sites that talk about all this stuff, because
Yeah.
this doesn't help you. You can't do anything about it. It's usually negative. And the whole point is to give your mind a 6 week break from all of it, so that you can enter into another way of living. And if you can do it for 6 weeks, why can't you continue doing it ongoing? That's the point. If you can do it for 6 weeks, you've established a new habit. So again, what is that worth? Well, you'll save money on food. Who knows, what people can spend on drink, smoking, and recreational drugs, a lot. And not watching TV and avoiding. How much time does that save? Waste of time. So if it's economically. And then finally, end of day reflection. So you ask yourself 4 powerful questions at the end of every day. You listen to what I call a power sleep track while you do that. Or I give you a guided end of day reflection and audio recording. So every day you learn. You go, okay, so what did I learn today? How did I benefit from it? What could I have done better? And what am I grateful for? Those are the 4 questions. And it makes a difference. You're reflecting, you're learning from your day. It also, the power sleep track helps you to sleep much deeper. So I just go to sleep, put it on, 5 minutes of sleep. You sleep deeper, wake up more refreshed. So maybe you don't need to sleep as longer. That also, can potentially save you time, so that you can spend more time doing this course. So people say, I don't have the time. Well, you've got to just rearrange your priorities. If you spend 2 hours a day watching TV, then cut that. That immediately creates 2 hours.
Yeah.
Maybe you sleep for 8 hours, but you don't get quality sleep. Well, you can sleep for 6 or 7 and get quality sleep and be as refreshed. So there's ways of creating the extra time to do the course.
Yeah.
So just to summarize, I'm going to wrap it up now. Program of 7 key spiritual practices. What's that with? Yeah, let's just talk about the art of letting go. Course information and the exercise pack. So you get a 10-step letting go process, instruction and written worksheets. You get 6 shorter letting go processes for quick release, 2 documents to help you understand the theory of letting go, worksheets for the name your game and flip your flop exercises. Those are extremely powerful transformational exercises to really get to the core of your self-concept that I guide you through. Worksheets for the blueprint for your higher self, and purpose exercises. Again, those are exercises that you do. This is what Martin had to say about them. Became aware of my shortcomings with the help of the blueprint builder, he called it. And then he applied it actually in his, he's a business owner. Client called him, gave him grief, and he found peace. He said, I would have found peace whether he apologized or not. Very powerful stuff, this. 8 other transformational mind training exercises, 12 pathways to higher consciousness, map of consciousness to help you navigate the levels of your mind, a daily schedule planner, over 90 inspirational quotes and even some poetry, So there's a lot of value in that. I would sell it for £19, but just throw it in as part of it. So that's your course manual. Maybe I'll just actually show you that if I can. Let's see if I can bring that up. There we go. Just to give you a little taste of it. So it's a 63-page document, which and the contents. So we work through this. In the course, you work through all these, the hero's journey, levels of mind, all of this, we spend a session on, and that's recorded. And, you can then, if you don't make the live session, you can listen to it. You're welcome to ask questions at any time on the group. So you can post them on Telegram. That's the platform you use. And I basically guide you through this this whole thing in the 6 weeks, as well as the 12 transformational exercises in there. So these are experiential. The whole point is it's experiential learning. It's not just theory. So no, you learn by experiencing. You do the exercises, you practice, show up to the live sessions. I guide you through each one of these in a live session. So and those are on Sundays, so you can make those at around this time.
Yeah.
And if you can do the Sundays and listen to the recordings, you'll get a lot out of this process. So that's the exercise pack, the Letting Go Meditation Power Pack. So you get the guided Letting Go Theta meditation, which has various versions, because some people said 1 hour is too long, so I cut it down to 40 minutes and 30 minutes. So you can do either. I'd recommend do the 1 hour to start with for, say, a week, give it a chance. And then, you can, if you don't have time, rather do half an hour than don't do it at all. That's the idea. Our sleep track is 40 minutes, so you can put that on a loop. I just loop it, and I go to sleep with it, and I sometimes sleep the whole night with it. It definitely makes me sleep deeper, and it also just blocks out any other noise, so you don't get woken up by any disturbances. So we want to summarize all of that. You got the meditation component, forgiveness and letting go, breath work and mind training, group discussions, reading A Course in Miracles, fasting and abstinence, end of day reflection, the course manual. All of that comes to I price it in pounds because mostly I deal with people in the UK. So apologies for that, but it's about 1.2, I think, at the moment on the US dollar. And you probably use Canadian dollars, don't you? So that's a little bit more. Yeah. So 225. If you add 3 months additional access to the Telegram group, so apart from the 6 weeks, say you can carry on for 3 months after the course. So you still get the benefits of all the material that I post. Ideally, if you like to, you join the program, but I'm going to give you that 3 months extra just to encourage you in case you don't. So maybe at some point you'll decide to. So in Telegram, you don't use it. So, but because it's all on a server, go back and you can access all the archives. So you got access to, worked it out, about 1,500 hours of video and audio recording of meditation and discussion sessions during previous course and club sessions. I've been running these sessions on Telegram for the last 2 years. Before that was WhatsApp. So there's 2 years of material, and we do every day. Usually there's 2 to 3 hours a day of live sessions, and I also post usually a 20-minute to half an hour meditation and a breath break. So there's anything from 2 to 3 to 4 hours of material every day, and you got access to all the archives. Once you're on Telegram, you can go and you can look at it. So you're probably not going to do that during the course because there's enough to keep you busy. But ongoing afterwards, if you want to go and access stuff, there's just loads of stuff. There's a wealth of material that you can then listen to. It's all on Telegram, and that's one of the value adds for the bonuses. So I've priced that at £300, and then there's about 500 hours of meditations. So you can listen to any of those meditations, you're never short of material to meditate on, because you can just go, if you don't like the one that I post for the day, it's what most people do, there's archive material going back. And you can search. You can search on and say, well, I'd like to search on, on this. Again, what I want to do with this going forward is put it all into a membership platform and have all the material available, so you can go in there and you could search and find whatever you wanted, easily in the web. But at the moment, it's on Telegram, and it does work. You can search on it. So you get access to a lot of that. I've got a lot of the meditations, and that's a key part of the course. On your meditation practice intertwined with the course content really works well. The guided meditations with the breath breaks he's talking about, the lesson for today, often show me things I would not have picked up before. They give the space to view it differently. So the more you do them, the more likely it is that kind of shift in perception is going to happen. So that's worth £100. All in all, it comes to 2,656. I'm just going to tell you about the times. Next course will be starting on Sunday, the 11th of February. So that's next week, Sunday, to Sunday, the 24th of March. It's a 43-day course, 6 weeks and 1 day. So your timing is good if you want to join. And I run it once a year, because the ongoing program, it's too intensive to run the course as well. So it's just, it's the introduction to the 1-year program. It's the start of the 1-year program, which starts every year in February. They're live online meditation discussion sessions from Monday to Friday, and Sundays at 11 a.m. Are you Mountain Standard Time?
Pacific.
I get that right? You Pacific, okay.
Yeah.
So it would be 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Your time. Which during weekdays probably wouldn't work for you, but you can get the live sessions, you can get the recordings and listen to them in the afternoon, but on the Sundays, I would definitely recommend you make those, because that's where we do a lot of the transformational work, and we go through the exercises. Sessions generally last 2 to 3 hours. Some Sundays they'll be longer. Depends how many people are doing the course, because everyone has to go through their process. So if there are 10 people, it takes longer, but you learn from everyone's process. You see people shifting live in the call.
Yeah.
And as I said, those calls aren't recorded, because some of very personal stuff comes up. But it will help you deal with your issue. There's no doubt. This will get to the core of it, and it will help you process it, and it will help you let it go and free yourself from it, so you can move on. I can guarantee that. If you do the process, if you follow the process. If you don't do the process, it's half-assed, then not necessarily. But if you do the process consistently, and you join those Sunday sessions, and you listen to the recordings, you will shift. It's because you can't do this kind of process and not have shift happen. So just to summarize the structure, week 1 is really introductory week. We explore the theory behind the Art of Letting Go course. We read and discuss the first chapter of the Course in Miracles text. Remember, that's the theory. We work through exercises 1 to 3 in the course manual. We study and apply the first 7 pathways to higher consciousness, and you go through most of the breathwork course. So it's foundational. And then in weeks 2 to 6, we start with the lessons, daily lessons. There's 35 lessons that we work through for the next 5 weeks. Read and discuss the next chapter, 4 chapters of the text. We work through exercises 4 to 12 in the course manual. We study and apply the last 5 pathways to higher consciousness. We learn and practice holotropic breathing. And this is what Mike had to say. Course structure is great. At that point, we were doing 2 calls a day, different vibe in the 2. So we did one in the sort of afternoon, but that was midday UK time. So that would be very early morning your time. But we're just going to do one session in 10 a.m. your time in this course. gain a lot out of them, think you're teaching. Okay, so you just went on about my teaching and the flow and finding an aspect to talk about. So I've done this a lot. I've taught, I don't know, thousands of hours. So I
Yeah.
guess you get quite good at it. Thousands of hours of this kind of online teaching in generally fairly small sessions. Is either 1, 2, sometimes 5, maximum 10 people. So it's quite intimate. It's a nice environment to learn in. It's a different vibe from a seminar that has 300 people. You just can't do the same kind of work, and that's where I like to work like this. Actually, I don't mind doing one-on-ones. It's great. So, in terms of your investment, so yes, obviously I charge for this, but I've tried to make it very reasonable. So the value for the course came to 2,656. I showed you how that was built up. It's in pounds, but I just standard. I mean, this seems to be standard in the industry. Just give a 90% discount, so immediately that slashes off 90%. There's an early bird discount, which lasts till tomorrow because we're only a week away from it now, but I'll give it tonight. So £197 until midnight tonight. If you give me the go ahead, I'll send you a link to make payment. You can do it on a card. That is about $249, and I believe 330 something Canadian dollars.
Yeah.
Roughly. So it'll translate at whatever rates.
Yeah.
And but that's the investment for it.
Yeah.
If you decide that you don't want to commit to that, there is another option, which I'll talk about now. You can join on a free trial for 3 weeks.
Okay.
So I'm so confident that it works. I'll give you 3 weeks for free.
Yeah.
You can do that. You don't like it, you don't pay me. It's fine.
Okay.
So 3 weeks doesn't work for you. But after 3 weeks, if it's worked for you, which for most people it does, then I'm going to ask you for the 197 to continue with the course. So essentially 97. So you can either do a free trial, do it that way, or you commit. You say, maybe someone who likes to commit, you say, right, I'm committed, I'm signed up to this. If you don't like it at any point in the first 3 weeks, I'll give you your entire money back, because I don't want your money if you say this isn't for me. I've only ever done that once, and it's because the lady didn't actually want to follow a course. She wanted to just study it herself. But she figured that out about 2 weeks into the process. It's like, okay, well, it's a facilitated course. That's what it's about. It's not a self-study course. If you want to do self-study, then you can study the book yourself. You could. But most people who study A Course in Miracles struggle to understand it themselves. So I unpack it for you. It becomes much more easily understandable. There's all kinds of tools and resources to help you to really have a shift. The point of this, Karen, is that you have a shift at the end of the 6 weeks, and you go, wow, actually, like, I am feeling different. I'm thinking differently. I'm feeling differently. I'm ready to go forward with my life as a different person.
Yeah.
In 6 weeks, you can accomplish that. Then that's not the end of the story. You can continue. I've got a 1-year program. If you want to, I won't talk too much about that. But if you wanted to go for the entire year, we work through the entire book systematically in the same structured way as you did in the course, day by day, lesson by lesson, with all the same tools, resources. It's a pretty comprehensive transformational program to change your mind and your life in 1 year. The 6 weeks is the starting point of that. So any thoughts, any comments or questions? That's the 1-year program, which has all these various elements. That's huge value. Let's not go into that now. Let's just focus on this, because that's the start. Does it resonate with you? Would you like to join us?
It does. I was like, okay, when it was 4,500 Canadian dollars, I was like, no, thank you. But anyway, it sounds good. My only concern is I'm going away the weekend of February 24th, and I'm going to be with some people for a fairly intense weekend. Can I work
Yeah.
around that?
Yeah, weekend of the 24th. So so you're saying that Sunday you wouldn't be able to necessarily make the live session.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you can work around that.
Okay.
The most of the process work, the
Mm-hmm.
deep work starts on the fourth Sunday.
Okay.
So that will be we'll be starting on the 11th, so 18th, 24th, 25th. It'll be the first week of March, first
Okay.
Sunday of March. That's
Okay.
so the first 3 weeks is kind of preparatory. We
Yep.
want this still a lot of learning. And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
okay, if you want to go
yeah,
further with this, that's why it's free trial. If you want
yeah,
to go
yeah.
further, now we're going deep, right? So
Okay.
you got to be committed then.
Yeah,
And then I wouldn't want to don't miss any of the sessions because
yeah,
each one builds on the next. It's a process. If you don't do the session on the whatever is the 2nd of March, then it'll be
yeah,
difficult to do the
for
next one.
sure.
But it
Yeah,
builds. Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I might be able to swing it. I can't guarantee that at this moment. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's okay. That
Okay.
Sunday, it's preparatory work.
Okay.
You could just catch up with the recording.
Okay. That
Mm.
sounds good. Yeah,
Mm.
okay. I'm good. Yeah, let's do this.
You're going to do it.
Yeah,
Okay, excellent. So do you want to just dive in and make the payment?
sure. Yeah, let's do that.
Mm. All right. So I'll send you a link.
Okay.
Um, just credit card, debit card, Visa, Mastercard, and American Express, I think. Just click the link, and it'll ask you for your card details, and put in the details, and it's Stripe, it's secure, all that stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll send that to you via email just now.
Okay.
So watch out for the next 20 minutes or so. Yeah, just do it sometime today to lock in that early bird special, and then I'll sign you up to the course. We're starting the course program on Friday. So that's just preparatory work. So I'll sign you up to the emailing list, to the mail list,
Okay.
and please download Telegram.
I will do that. Yeah.
Yeah, just go to are you Apple or Android?
Android.
Android. So just go to the Google Play Store,
Yeah.
search Telegram. I'll send you a link actually in the email, and you can just download it, and I will add you to that. So would you like to be added now, or would you like to wait till Friday? Because I'm sending out material now, but it's kind of the tail end of our 1 year. So I think maybe let's just wait
Yeah, I think that
and
sounds like
start.
that's a plan.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
start with the course. We'll
Yeah.
start the material fresh on Friday.
On Friday. Yeah.
Preparatory for the weekend, and then the course proper starts next Sunday. So join next Sunday at the
Okay.
same time.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
So we'll
Thank you.
look forward to the journey.
Yeah. It's gonna be good.
Yeah. Do you have any partners, friends, anyone like that who wants to do the course as well? Do you think it'll be a solo mission?
I think it's going to be a solo. I think my son would be interested, but he's in university right now and really doesn't have time for much of anything. So
Yeah.
maybe another time for him. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. As I
Yeah.
said, I run it every year. So
Yeah.
once you've done it, you can always refer people, and I do give
Yeah.
referral fee as well. But
Okay.
just focus, for this time, give yourself the gift of this time
Yeah.
for 6 weeks. Say,
Yeah.
okay, this is my time. I'm doing this for myself. Don't worry about anyone else. And the more of the course material you do, the more benefits you'll get. And
Yeah.
you will, if you do it properly. I've seen some amazing shifts and transformations over the
Hmm.
years that people have had. Whatever the issue is, you mentioned, your particular issue. Maybe there's
Yeah.
others. It comes up. It's not
Oh
easy. I
yeah.
sort of say it's not an easy course, but
Yeah.
it's what's going to work.
Yeah.
You've got to let go of that stuff. So it's got to
Yeah.
come up. You've got to deal with it, process it, and release it. And I just guide you through that process.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an accountability. There's like, okay, there's someone who's got my back. I'm really particularly during the Art of Letting Go course, I'm really focused on it. It's like, okay, I'm 100%, immersed in the process myself, because that's what it takes to really help
Yeah.
people to transform.
Yeah.
I wanted to create a course and a program that really did justice to the word life-changing. It's bandied around, oh, this is life-changing, this life-changing. No, really life-changing. Like you've had a major shift. Your entire
Yeah.
perception of yourself and the world has changed, in 6 weeks. That's what
Yeah.
this course does. And then the journey continues after that if you want to. But just
Mm-hmm.
do the 6 weeks and then let's talk.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to it.
So yeah, it's going to be good. It'd be nice to have
Okay.
someone from not the US, sorry, Canada. I know Canadians and US. Don't
Yeah, we're
confuse.
definitely not Americans.
Definitely
No.
not the same. Same continent. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same continent. So most of my people are South African or
Yeah.
in the UK.
Oh,
So
I
you'll
get to
be
listen to lovely accents. That's great.
you like the accents, okay?
I
Well,
do.
that's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, I quite like the Canadian accent.
Oh, well,
So
thank you.
yeah, yeah. All right. It's lovely to meet you. Sorry I couldn't see you actually, but
Yeah. Yeah. I'll work
that'll
on
happen
maybe
at some
getting a
point.
camera, a webcam. I know I have one somewhere. I just don't know quite where it is right this moment.
Yeah, I think for the sessions it'll be helpful, particularly the
Yeah.
process. So we
Yeah.
do some live process work where it's helpful to see, your reactions. And
Yeah.
if you're working in groups, a couple of sessions where I group you with another person, it's
Yeah.
helpful if they can see you rather than just, the black screen.
Mm-hmm.
So see if you can sort
Yeah.
that. I mean, you just go down to a shop. I just bought a webcam for
Yeah, exactly.
$20 or something. They're not
Yeah.
expensive. Oh. Okay, so
Okay.
yeah, watch out for that email. I'll send it through just now, and
Will do.
I look forward to seeing you again on Sunday next week.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're receiving all my emails, so
Yes.
um, yeah, I'm whitelisted and stuff. Just want to make sure
Yeah.
that you're getting the daily emails, and yeah, once you've downloaded Telegram,
Mm-hmm.
it should notify if you do it to the phone number that you signed up with,
Yeah.
then it will notify me and I'll just add you to the
Perfect.
Telegram group, but I'll only do that on Friday when we
Yeah.
start the process.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Go well.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Okay, so that's a wrap for tonight. If you enjoyed that session, then do join us for the Art of Letting Go course. You can go to vaolg.com to book for the next course session, the next masterclass, or join the aolg.club. I'll put the URLs down below this video to just sign up. So there's a web page where you can go and you can find more information and register. So yeah, I hope to catch you on the inside. I hope that was a useful session, and I hope to see you on the inside soon. Namaste. Which means the true transformed self in me acknowledges and honors that same true transformed self in you. Peace.